Mage, start as a master of magical potions. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26, Developing the Ghost Death Knight Potion Project. In the autumn of the 57th year of the Storm Kingdom, Sunan recorded all the books in the Maple Leaf Town library during this period, and regained control of Maple Leaf Town in a month. He did not disband the town council. After all, in the Storm Kingdom, towns with a little money have their own town councils. As long as Maple Leaf Town pays him taxes every year, it's fine. The old butler Warwick calculated the income of Maple Leaf Town in the past 10 years, and believed that, if the normal commercial tax rate was 1/10, Maple Leaf Town could bring at least 1,000 gold coins to Sunan every year. If you want to squeeze Maple Leaf Town dry, you can multiply this value several times through some operations of killing the chicken to get the eggs. At the same time, during this month, Sunan tried his best to restore the trade scale that Maple Leaf Town had lost in the past 6 months, especially during the reign of Gus Pasha. However, it is impossible to fully recover in a short period of time. It will take at least half a year to recover. The leaders of the 3 major guilds in Maple Leaf Town, the Textile Guild, the Fur Guild, and the Woodworking Guild, all pledged their allegiance to Sunan at the same time. At the same time, the people of Gus Pasha and Knight Hullen's territory, upon learning of their defeat and Sunan's reclaiming of the entire territory, immediately surrendered and took 5 villages with them to return to what they called the correct loyalty. Hullen had no offspring, but Gus Pasha had a bunch of lovers, and had a bunch of children with them. According to the old housekeeper's investigation, even Gus Pasha himself was not sure whether those illegitimate children were his blood. Perhaps some of them were simply the children of those lovers with other men. Sunan had no scruples about Gus Pasha's descendants. He could deal with them or not. Anyway, as time passed, he would reverse engineer more wizards things, and become more and more powerful. He didn't need to worry about the revenge of the ants. But in order to ensure safety, the old housekeeper Warwick insisted on dealing with these people. As for how to deal with them, Sunan didn't care. His focus was still on researching new potions and improving his mental strength. In addition, he was trying to find wizards. After Sunan discovered the possibility of the descendants of wizards in the mortal world in the library of Maple Leaf Town, he ordered his subordinates to pay attention to those who lived in strange and remote environments in his territory. Those people might be the so-called wizard family. Although this action feels like buying a lottery ticket, but Sunan felt that he still had to try it. Maybe he could find the descendants of wizards in the crowd. In the attic of the Peter family castle, Sunan threw a frog into the crucible, and the liquid in the crucible immediately boiled. Within 10 seconds, Sunan quickly threw a white chrysanthemum and a handful of 2 mashes into it, and then 1 minute later, poured the boiled potion into the prepared glass bottle. The second potion in the Ghost series, Ghost Summoning Frog, was made. After the last actual combat, Sunan asked the intelligent brain to invest computing power in the Ghost series potions that reduce attack power and improve defense capabilities, and Ghost Frog is a product under this idea. As long as you crush the potion, you can summon a frog ghost. In the case of completely giving up the ability to attack, it will constantly try to pounce on the enemy, provoke the enemy, and force the enemy to attack it to prevent being pounced on by it. This kind of ghost frog will have a high ability to resist damage. It will be very practical in battle. It can assist itself when fighting the enemy, making its enemies completely unable to use their means, and become very frustrated. Sunan has also tried to create some non-high condensation soul transformation objects, that is, to make the ghost summoned by the potion an ordinary ghost. But he found that ordinary ghosts have no combat power at all. In other words, ordinary ghosts can't cause any physical damage to living people. They can only scare people, and even the mental damage is very limited. After experiments, Sunan found that ordinary ghosts are almost harmless to people under non-specific conditions. Think about it. After all, ghosts don't even have a body, so they are definitely not as powerful as ordinary people. This proves that the Ghost of War's guardian is the right way. Therefore, within this month, he let the intelligent brain calculate 2 ghost potions. They are ghost summoning frog potion and ghost summoning wild wolf potion. Sunan cleaned the crucible and started to boil again. The process was similar to the previous one for refining ghost summoning frog potion, except that a live frog was replaced with a wolf's canine tooth. A minute later, Sunan poured the potion into 3 glass bottles. These 2 potions are actually only as difficult to make as a 3rd class wizard apprentice. The key project that Sunan asked the intelligent brain to invest in computing power is actually the 4th potion of the Ghost series of potions. By analyzing the heart of the Storm Knight, trying to use the magic of highly concentrated soul fragments, and the scattered information related to the undead magic newly obtained from the Maple Leaf Town Library, a new permanent Ghost Knight potion is calculated. The Ghost Knight summoned by this potion will have the full strength of a formal knight, and will also have the new undead magic characteristics, resurrection, obtained by reverse deduction from the information obtained from the library. Sunan tentatively named this potion Ghost Death Knight. This kind of potion can only be made by a 2nd class wizard apprentice. Similarly, the formula will be optimized by the intelligent brain to perfection. However, the current calculation progress is only 76%. In this month, Sunan's mental power has also changed from 10.2 to 10.5, and his mana is also 10.5. The progress is a little slow. Fortunately, the calculation progress of the mental power enhancement potion +2 has reached 99%, and it will be completed in the next few days. With the new mental power enhancement potion, the speed of improving one's mental power will be accelerated again. At the same time, the calculation progress of the super werewolf potion has also reached 98%. The information in the Maple Leaf Town Library has increased the calculation progress of these 2 potions and the Ghost series potions. In addition, Sunan also discovered a spell called Rigidity, hidden in the books in the Maple Leaf Town Library through the intelligent brain. Unfortunately, the intelligent brain found that this spell was recorded with many errors and omissions, and it was impossible to learn and use it. Read the error-free version in 69 book bar. 69 book bar publishes a novel first. Read in 69 book bar. Even this stiffness technique may just be fabricated by descendants who know something. But by reverse deduction, Sunan obtained the formula of the potion called single-legged stiffness potion. He also refined 3 bottles within this month. This potion can make one of the enemy's legs stiff, so that it can't run or walk normally, and can only jump. Sunan thinks that maybe this thing will be very useful in battle. Lunchtime is coming, and Sunan asked his servants to reject several waves of invitations to banquets from the Maple Leaf Town Guild and wealthy merchants, as well as low-level nobles from 2 knights. During this period, although Sunan refused invitations every day and rarely went out, the low-level nobles and wealthy merchants in the panicked territory thought that Sunan was very angry with them, so they always tried to invite Sunan to their banquets. Sometimes, Sunan was thinking, why not just go once, so that some people can feel at ease. In the living room of the castle, the old butler Warwick walked towards Sunan quickly with a letter. Lord Sunan, I didn't expect the Pasha family to be so bad as to have correspondence with the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki. This guy actually defected to the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki. The Latin Duke of Thessaloniki wants to use Gus Pasha to control Maple Leaf Town, one of the most important commercial thoroughfares in the western territory of the Storm Kingdom. Lord Sunan, the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki is the most powerful prince in the Storm Kingdom, and he has always been dissatisfied with the royal family. Look, this is the correspondence I found between them. Maybe the Duke has realized that Gus Pasha was killed by us. Sunan took the pile of letters somewhat carelessly. After all, the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki is far away from him, so he doesn't need to care too much. The Storm Kingdom has its own feudal order. The Duke cannot openly attack him. He cannot declare war on the lord of the same country, completely disregarding the face of the royal family and the opinions of other lords. At least that's the case now. Besides, the Duke also has his own enemies, whether it is the royal family or the nomadic chieftains in the north of the Storm Kingdom. Moreover, I just happened to be thinking about who to find for a new practical test. If the Duke wants to trouble himself, then I have no objection. After receiving these letters, Sunan rubbed his forehead, but recently I always felt that I seemed to have overlooked something. next to Peter Baron's territory, in the rural area on the edge of Sunan Baron's territory, which is even more barren. The door of an ordinary farmer was knocked. The male owner of the farmer's house hurried to open the door, but found that there was nothing outside the door. There was no one at all. But before he could be surprised, a voice came from behind him, that is, inside the house. I came from far away to find someone. I want to find the son of Baron Peter. His name should be Sunan Peter. Do you know him? He owes me something. His father stole something from my house, and no one has returned it to me yet. A cold feeling spread from the male farmer's back. It seems you don't know him. Chapter 27 The Duke's Letter and Exploration of the Secret Realm. In Baron Peter's castle, Sunan glanced at the letter written by the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki to Gus Pasha. For some reason, Gus Pasha copied the letter he wrote to the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki and put the letters together under the floor of a room in his own manor that had not been used for a long time. If it weren't for the old butler Warwick, who was very responsible and meticulous and repeatedly checked the manor items of the Pasha family within a month, it would be possible that these letters would not be found. The letters showed that the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki constantly encouraged Gus Pasha to expand his ambitions, display his talents, and improve his noble title in the way of friends and elders, such as, "Your ability is more than this. I hope to see you in a more important political position, my friend. Your family has been loyal to the Peter family for generations. But it does not mean that it cannot change in your generation. Your master, old Baron Peter, has died, and you don't need to be loyal to a child whose hair has not grown up yet. I think the storm god would feel pity for the empty loyalty of a warrior like you to that young boy." Sunan rolled his eyes. No wonder Gus Pasha's ambition was so inflated that he ignored the feudal hierarchy and wanted to replace himself. It turned out that there was an old man who was always in his ear, fooling and boasting about him. It was not difficult to guess what Duke Latin of Thessaloniki was thinking. He just wanted to instigate the Pasha family. But if the Pasha family really replaced him, their blatant betrayal, or even lord killing, would isolate them from all the lords, so the Pasha family could only rely on the Duke. This was a very obvious conspiracy. I just don't know if Gus Pasha realized this before he died. But I think the two should have been on guard against each other. Otherwise Gus Pasha would not have backed up his own letters. Maybe he was going to use these letters as evidence to threaten the Duke. It is worth mentioning that in the letter, Duke Latin of Thessaloniki told Gus Pasha that he needed the financial resources of Maple Leaf Town, so he needed Gus Pasha to control Maple Leaf Town before the end of autumn this year. Because the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki recently recruited a large number of troops to fight against the Bulgarian butcher chieftain in the north, and the military expenses were borrowed from bankers of some republics on the western peninsula, and he had to repay part of the military expenses at the end of autumn. The Latin Duke of Thessaloniki felt that it would be difficult to repay the money as promised, so he had the idea of squeezing the wealth of Maple Leaf Town. Sunan threw the letter aside, and it was probably difficult for the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki to get what he wanted, because he could not use his own money to fill his hole. Not to mention the end of autumn. Even if the Duke waited until next spring, he would not pay a penny. Sunan thought about it and frowned. That's not right. The Duke's Latin Principality of Thessaloniki is separated from the Bulgarians by a lot of territory, and the one facing the Bulgarians is Storm Castle. The Duke recruited so many troops to fight against the Bulgarians? That's ridiculous. I think he has greater ambitions to maintain so many troops. The current Storm Kingdom has only been established for 57 years, and it was obtained in a very illegitimate way, so there are many hidden dangers. For example, the Latin Principality of Thessaloniki is ostensibly loyal to the Storm Kingdom and is part of the Storm Kingdom, but in fact it is an independent country. It does not have to pay taxes and has independent judiciary, administration, and army. Even the defense of the kingdom is only a nominal responsibility. The Storm Kingdom is like a group of robbers who swallowed up the remnants of the Eastern Empire and then divided the spoils among them, but the king is just the leader of this group of robbers. Too superficial. Not to mention, the current Duke of Thessaloniki is the father-in-law of the king of the Storm Kingdom. The two have arranged a marriage to strengthen their union. Sunan rubbed his head, but it had nothing to do with him. Now that he had basically unified the baronial territory of Peter, He just wanted to digest this harvest and then continue to explore the truth. Whoever dared to disturb him would be his enemy. Sunan said to the old butler Warwick, "I understand. Mr. Warwick, I'm going to explore the secret world in the afternoon. Please help me arrange some werewolf messengers to protect the attic so that it will not be disturbed by outsiders or let the new maid approach there. If there is any emergency, you can contact me using the wolf pack effect." The old butler Warwick said, "Okay, young master." Sunan hastily finished his lunch. Now that his economic level has improved, his lunch is much richer, with rich cream mushroom soup, soft and delicious honey milk bread, some pork, beef and lamb, and delicious sauces cooked with chicken soup. After finishing lunch, Sunan returned to the attic. His mind moved slightly, and he once again found the special state that opened the secret world before, allowing the magic power to connect with the secret world, and then he entered the secret world. There was still a full moon in the sky of the secret world, but this time it became brighter. At the same time, some floating soul fragments appeared in the wilderness full of verbena and unknown wildflowers. This represented that Sunan's symbol of mana projection in the secret world had changed slightly. At the same time, Sunan stood on the highest high ground in the wilderness and found that the area of this wilderness was about 1/5 larger than the last time he came in. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book bar first published a novel 69 book bar. Read it seems that as my mana increases, my domain in the secret world is also expanding. The mist was forced back by my symbol. A larger part of the ancient castle group building fortress left in the secret world by the Grey Earth Cemetery emerged from the mist. But as soon as Sunan entered the secret world, he heard the sound of fighting. At the edge of the wilderness, the guardian of Or was holding a huge black sickle and fighting an 8-legged spider. What's strange is that the 8-legged spider, which is as big as a tank, has no eyes. Where its eyes should be, there is only smooth grey skin. For some reason, Guardian Or seemed to be suppressed and was beaten very badly. When he saw Sunan, he saw a savior and immediately said, "Lord Sunan, please help me. This spider restrains me too much. It is a creature from the energy world. In the secret world, all my attacks have become spiritual energy attacks, but there is no will in my power. Instead, it will devour my power and become more powerful. Lord Sunan, use magic quickly. In the secret world, magic will be more powerful and easier to cast. In this world, it can be infinitely similar to your inner world. As long as you have the magic power of the wizard's will, your power can be magnified several times here. This monster is not a creature from the secret world. It must be in the real world, the material world. The cult used a ritual to summon an energy world to descend. Part of that energy world overlapped with the material world, causing the material world to mutate. All changes in the material world will be reflected in the secret world. I don't know which energy world was summoned. If it was an ordinary elemental world, it would be fine. But some energy worlds are very terrifying and very evil. They are not comparable to ordinary elemental worlds. 2000 years ago, only those crazy and twisted cultists would summon the energy world to descend into the material world. Wizards have always tried their best to stop this behavior. Unexpectedly, 2000 years later, there is still such behavior. Sunan raised his eyebrows. Although he was curious about what the energy world was, he still stepped forward and took out 2 bottles of potions, one for ghost summoning frogs and the other for ghost summoning wolves. It was just right to collect the actual combat data of these 2 bottles of potions. Guardian Or jumped back and left the battlefield, leaving the fighting position to Sunan. Be careful, Lord Sunan. Energy creatures should be different from all the beings you have fought against. They are neither idealistic nor materialistic. Their world is one where energy dominates mind and matter. They are beings from another world. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, Researching Unknown Creatures and Discovering Energy Shell Technology. When the blind spider rushed towards Sunan, Sunan smashed 2 bottles of potion on its forehead. The moment the two potion liquids touched the air, they began to boil and turned into two clouds of smoke in the air, and the smoke turned into two soul vortices. The soul vortex began to absorb the soul energy in the secret world. Originally, there needed to be a large number of soul fragments around, that is, a large number of casualties, for these two ghost potions to work. Because a large number of soul fragments are needed to be compressed and condensed to become ghosts that are superior to ordinary ghosts. But in the secret world, it is completely unnecessary. In the secret world, there are fragments of the unconscious torrent of life everywhere. Under the gathering of these torrent fragments of the soul vortex, a truck-sized ghost green frog and 3 ghost blow ordinary-sized ghost wolves were summoned. The truck-sized ghost frog pressed the blind spider under it, preventing it from approaching Sunan. At the same time, the 3 ghost wolves followed the ghost frog, always looking for opportunities to bite the blind spider. In Sunan's initial design, the ghost frog was a meat shield and auxiliary role, while the ghost wolf could play the role of supporting and assisting the attack in the battle. Guardianos swept across the ghost monsters summoned by the 2 potions and said, "Really good psychic magic, Lord Sunan. It's hard to believe that you can have such excellent skills without a complete magical inheritance. Maybe you are gifted. If you grew up in the golden age of wizard civilization on this land 2000 years ago, your achievements are really unimaginable to me." Sunan nodded. He noticed a problem, that is, the bite of the ghost wolf did not have much effect on the strange blind spider. When the 3 ghost wolves bit the spider legs of the blind spider, their bites did not cause any damage to the blind spider. It was not the situation when mortals face the werewolf messenger, where they caused damage with iron swords, but because of the werewolf messenger's immortal body, they quickly healed themselves. Instead, they could not cause any damage from the beginning. Sunan even discovered that the 3 ghost wolves he summoned would blur each time they touched the blind spider. That is to say, as highly condensed soul transformations, both the ghost wolves and the ghost frogs began to disintegrate when they came into contact with the blind spider. Sunan frowned. Intelligent brain. Analyze the data of the blind spider. Tentative name, blind spider strength. 1.4 speed. 2 physique, unable to analyze. Spiritual power, unable to analyze. The opponent seems to be completely different from the organisms in the real world and the organisms in the spiritual world. Even for the wizard world, it is probably a creature from an alien world. Due to insufficient data, the results cannot be analyzed for the time being. Sunan raised his eyebrows. The basic combat power of the ghost wolves he summoned was actually similar to that of ordinary wolves, but with the addition of ghost characteristics. The speed and strength of the ghost frog were both 1, and only the physique reached 3, but such a physique was enough to contain the enemy. However, the ghost frog, which has a physical fitness of 3, equivalent to the physical fitness of a formal storm knight, is now on the verge of collapse under the crazy attack of the blind spider legs, and the collapsed soul fragments seem to be stained with some unclean things, becoming unusable. Sunan glanced at the wounded guardian who had not recovered. No wonder or had such a hard time fighting. The blind spider that suddenly appeared in the secret world looked too strange. It was as if it was the nemesis of Guardian, a highly condensed soul modification. Guardian, who was standing aside, was quite worried when he saw that the ghost series monsters were helpless. These lives in the energy world are too restrained to ordinary magic creatures. What should we do? Now that we don't have the official wizards and first-class wizard apprentices of the Grey Earth Cemetery, can we really deal with it? Damn cultists. Lord Sunan, those cultists must be in your real territory. Sunan glanced at Or and said, "Don't worry, Or. The situation is still under control. The thing that wizards are least afraid of is encountering unknown situations. Wizards who encounter unknown situations should be excited instead." Sunan explained, because by cracking the unknown situation, you can gain new knowledge, and by gaining new knowledge, you can master more powerful magic power. He said in his heart, "Intelligent brain, analyze why my ghost series monsters can't cause damage to that monster." The error-free version is read at 69 book bar. 69 book bar first publishes a novel. 69 book bar read also, analyze a reason why my ghost monsters tend to collapse when they come into contact with it. Okay. Analysis of the battle data just now shows that the spider monster has completely different life form characteristics from creatures in the material world and your existence in the secret world. There is a circle of powerful energy shell on its body surface. The moment your ghost monster and or guardian attacked its surface energy shell, all attacks turned into energy, which strengthened and merged into its surface energy shell, so no attack worked. At the same time, the moment your ghost monster touched its surface energy shell, your mana that originally constituted the ghost form was actually contaminated by that layer of energy shell. Of course, short-term contact is fine, but long-term contact will cause your mana left in the ghost monster to collapse. It is worth noting that the spider monster is not so much a creature, but if it was on the earth in your previous life, its life structure would be more like a ball of electricity, a beam of light, a flame, and a ball of energy. But now it has skin, limbs, and may even bleed. There is too little information about the energy world mentioned by wizards. In addition, if this is the case, I'm afraid that the energy shell of this creature not only forms a natural restraint attribute for the Guardian of Awe and the Ghost series monsters, but also forms a restraint attribute for the spells of witchcraft. It is recommended that you use the Sleepy Bug Potion to test the spells on it. If you can record more combat data of this monster, you may be able to copy the energy shell technology and apply it to the potion formula of the Ghost Death Knight, which is still in the conceptual design stage. Sunan understood that this meant that he could not quickly solve and eliminate this spider monster that invaded his territory in the secret world. Otherwise, it would be a waste of natural resources. Sunan glanced at Awe, who was worried and even a little scared. Unlike the Guardian of Awe, he did not have the baggage of the past. In his opinion, the wizard world was mysterious and unknown to him. If you encounter any questions, just analyze them. If you can't analyze them for the time being, just leave them alone. Anyway, you will be able to explore them one day. Chapter 29 The Will of Magic. Secret World, Above the Wilderness. Sunan transformed into the werewolf leader. In the secret world, it became easier to become a werewolf leader, and it seemed that after he transformed into a werewolf leader, his speed became a little faster. He jumped to the side of the blind spider, threw a bottle of Sleepy Bug Potion on the spider's head that was tearing the ghost frog apart, and chanted a spell at the same time. The purple potion boiled into a ball of purple mist, turned into sleepy bugs, and drilled into the body of the blind spider, drilling into the pores on its surface. Suddenly, the blind spider's behavior slowed down a bit, but after stagnating for a moment, it quickly recovered its mobility. Sunan was stunned for a moment. It's useful, but not much. Your mana is assimilated into energy by its energy shell. But now it is speculated that your will contained in your mana is resisting this assimilation, which is the reason for the short-term effect. According to speculation, this energy creature has a very strong restraining effect on the wizard's spells. But it will also be powerless against spells with strong personal will. This also reveals a point in reverse. The magic of wizards is definitely not just a simple use of some energy to attack the enemy. Each magic contains the wizard's strong personal will, and that person's will can even affect the essence of the magic itself. If we can obtain a large amount of data on energy creatures and reversely simulate similar things, the combat effectiveness of the Death Knight can be increased by more than one time. Sunan now has some guesses in his mind. Could it be that wizards encountered a large number of such monsters 2000 years ago? Sunan jumped back and avoided the blind spider that attacked him. At the same time, he used his wolf claws to cut the spider leg of the wolf-eyed spider. Cut it? Sunan quickly rushed forward and used two wolf claws to continuously suppress the spider monster. With the terrible wolf howl, he tore the spider monster's spider legs bit by bit. The spider monster, which had killed all before, and was even immune to some spell effects, seemed to be powerless in the face of Sunan's fists and the attacks and bites of the werewolf leader. It had low defense and no resistance. Sunan stepped on the spider monster's head, and then tore its last spider leg with his wolf claws. Intelligent brain, what's going on? Why is it easier for me to fight it in a physical fight? First of all, your normal strength is too far exceeding it. Secondly, physical attacks seem to be able to break its energy shell. In other words, the energy shell of this kind of energy creature is difficult to defend against strong physical attacks. It is easier for your steel claws to tear its flesh than to tear cast iron. If you look at it from this perspective, attacks from the material world may be more restrained than spell attacks in terms of relative damage. Sunan noticed that the blind spider that he stepped on suddenly seemed to be in great pain. Intelligent brain, analyze its situation. It's wolf's bane. Your wolf poison actually contains two parts. First is the material venom, and second is the magic poison. When you scratched its limbs, part of the wolf poison entered its body. As a result, its energy shell could not convert this part of the wolf poison into energy in a short time, so it felt severe pain, and the wolf poison or any substance in its body seemed to be a very serious injury to it. It's going to die. Bang! The monster with only the spider body left exploded under Sunan's feet, and even formed an energy pollution, leaving the nearby land barren. Guardian hurried forward. Lord Sunan, how are you? Sunan shook his head. I'm fine. Although this guy also erupted in energy pollution when he died, because this is the secret world after all, the home of magic, it didn't affect him much. Sunan's mana washed away the energy pollution several times, and eliminated the impact. He transformed into the werewolf leader, and his mana became deeper and deeper. The strong personal will made the strange energy pollution on the spider monster unable to find any gaps to attack. Sunan frowned. I didn't find the wizard, but I encountered this kind of monster first. It turns out that I still need to improve my strength as soon as possible and pursue endless magic. In this way, I can deal with any enemy in danger. Sunan said, intelligent brain, analyze a strategy to deal with the same type of monsters as before. If I encounter more or stronger energy creatures, how to deal with the best strategy? Yes, at present, the werewolf potion series has a very strong natural restraining effect on the energy shell of the monster just now, which can speed up the research on super werewolf potion. The error-free version is read in 69 book bar. 69 book bar first publishes a novel 69 book bar read from the battle just now. Although the energy shell technology has not been reversely analyzed, reverse analysis of some battle data can speed up the calculation speed of super werewolf potion. Countermeasure 2. Enhance wolf poison potion. From the current point of view, the toxin based on the substance is highly toxic to energy creatures, and the wolf poison potion can be enhanced again. But you must complete the super werewolf first, before you can upgrade the wolf poison potion. Countermeasure 3. Apply the technology of related energy creatures in the Death Knight potion. It is speculated that it can effectively restrain similar creatures. Countermeasure 4. You can use Storm Knights and Storm Knights servants to kill these monsters. Sunan suddenly thought of something. The Guardian of All once said that the church once wanted to cooperate and form an alliance with the Grey Earth Cemetery. But why does the Grey Earth Cemetery need to cooperate with the church? After all, for a wizard organization with formal wizards, the few knights under the church are of little help to him. But what if, at that time, the Grey Earth Cemetery was facing the invasion of the energy world and energy creatures? Exclamation mark. Sunan looked at Guardian and said, how many types of energy worlds are there? Do you know? Lord Sunan, you actually solved the problem of the energy creature on your own. Guardian looked at Sunan, as if he saw those outstanding wizard seedlings in the Grey Earth Cemetery. He said, but regarding the energy world, I'm sorry, I know only a little. The energy world was one of the mainstream and popular directions explored by wizards 2000 years ago. At that time, even some third-class wizard apprentices could say a few words. But those who are truly qualified to study must be at least first-class wizard apprentices. So I have only heard that the energy world has ordinary fire element worlds, water element worlds, wind element worlds, earth element worlds, and some smaller dimensions, such as the cloud realm and the corona realm. But outside of these, there are some more evil worlds, such as the abyss and the infinite, and then there is hell. Lord Sunan, where do you think the monster just now came from? Chapter 30 Super Werewolf Potion and Super Moon. In the 57th year of the Storm Kingdom, winter. Ever since Sunan encountered the creature from the energy world in the secret world, he has stepped up patrols and sent his werewolf messengers to every village and territory to look for cultists who might be hiding in his territory. At the same time, for our safety, He gave her 2 bottles of ghost summon frog, 2 bottles of ghost summon wild wolf, 1 bottle of ghost summon night squire, and 2 bottles of sleepy bug potion. With these 7 bottles of potion, even if Sunan has not entered the secret world for the time being, or should be able to deal with the energy creatures of the same level that entered the secret world last time. At the same time, Sunan stepped up his research on potions. 1 month later, in the castle attic, Sunan drank a bottle of mental strength enhancement plus 2 potion. The moment he drank it, his whole body was rapidly increasing his mental strength. Your mental strength plus 0.1. Your mental strength is currently 12. In this month, Sunan's mental strength increased by a full 1.5 because the formula of the new mental strength enhancement plus 2 potion was calculated. He once again entered a stage of rapid growth of mental power. The core materials of the new mental power enhancement plus 2 potion are licorice, ginseng, and chicken and sheep brain mixed extracts, which are a mixture of things taken from specific parts of chicken and sheep brains. According to the calculation of the intelligent brain, he can quickly increase his mental power to 15 under the premise of taking the mental power enhancement plus 2 potion, and the effect of this potion on him will not be greatly weakened before his mental power reaches 20. And the mental power reaching 20 should be the standard of a first-class wizard apprentice. Sunan raised his left hand, and suddenly the miscellaneous items in the attic flew into the air, and then all returned to their original positions, and became well organized. With the improvement of mental power, the basic telekinetic strength of his sacrificial hand also increased to 2.8. It can be said that, if he fights Gus Pasha again, that guy will be suppressed by his sacrificial hand, and he can win by crushing without transforming into a werewolf leader. At the same time, within this month, he asked the old butler Warwick to purchase another 20 hounds, and began to train them day and night with Sunan himself. With the increase of magic power, he will expand the werewolf group again. Sunan looked at the sky outside. There will be a super full moon phenomenon tonight. In fact, the super full moon is not a rare astronomical phenomenon. Normally, it may occur 4 or 5 times a year. After recording the changes in the moon phases of this world, the intelligent brain can basically accurately predict the supermoon phenomenon in this world every year. The so-called supermoon phenomenon is that the full moon is closer to the earth and appears larger in the night sky. The new main material of the super werewolf potion is the moonlight of the supermoon. This is the result calculated by the intelligent brain. The new super werewolf potion will once again connect the werewolf and the moon, but this time it will not be the full moon, but the supermoon. This is a supplement to the full moon. The supermoon will enhance all the abilities of the werewolf. So tonight, he will refine the super werewolf potion in the attic of the castle. Therefore, Sunan walked out of the attic and asked Robert to continue to guard the attic, and then found the old butler Warwick in the castle. The old butler Warwick said to Sunan, "Lord Sunan, Sir Maxi Powell, a friend of the Latin Duke of Thessalonica, has arrived at the castle. He wants to visit you, and I think it should be related to Gus Pasha. He also said that the Duke wrote you a private letter." Sunan raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect that the Duke's messenger would come to disturb him tonight. "Mr. Warwick, you can let him leave now. The Duke and I don't have much to talk about. Besides, if we really want to talk about something, there is no need to talk to the Duke's lackeys. It's a waste of time. I might as well talk to the master directly." The old butler Warwick smiled. "I know what the young master means. I will let him put the letter down and leave the manor before the evening falls today. I won't let him disturb you. He is just a low-level noble under the Duke." Sunan nodded. "Today, arrange enough people around the castle, and don't let anyone come to disturb me. Similarly, I will arrange a special ceremony to gather the magic power projected in this area by the supermoon that occurred today into my crucible." The old butler Warwick suddenly became cautious. He treated Sunan's potion refining very seriously, just like treating various confidential matters of the territory that the old baron had entrusted to him. The old butler Warwick said, "Then I know. Young master, I will block the castle before tonight and check for suspicious persons. At the same time, I will control the ordinary wild wolves around to guard the castle." Sunan nodded. At the gate of the castle, in front of the carriage, Sir Maxipa had a dark face. He thought that he came on behalf of the Duke and would at least be warmly received by the Baron of Peter and Sunan. But as soon as he entered this Baron, things became strange for him. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book 1 bar first publishes a novel. First, the butler said that Sunan was busy and had no time to see him, so he asked him to wait. As a result, after a few hours, servants and soldiers ordered him to leave the Duke's letter and leave immediately. During the whole process, there was no courtesy to him, no respect for the servants of higher-ranking nobles. It was as if he was driven away like a dog. Sir Maxipar's eyes were depressed. He himself had a small mind, and now he was even more angry because Sunan did not treat him with courtesy or even flatter him like other nobles. I must tell the Duke about Sunan's attitude. Sir Maxipar secretly made up his mind that he must go back and exaggerate. Humph. I will definitely avenge this hatred today and the future. As long as I say a few more bad things about him in front of the Duke, I'll see what he will do. But he didn't expect that Sunan really didn't care about the Duke's thoughts. Not everyone, like him, needs to flatter and fawn to please the superior nobles to survive. And Sunan drove him away, almost like driving away an annoying fly. At night, a full moon that was much larger than usual hung in the sky. In the attic, Sunan threw a mixture of ginger powder, secret stone powder and garlic powder into the crucible, and then he began to chant a spell. Moonlight floated in from outside the window. It floated into the crucible like a physical and shaped flower fragrance. As the magic power of the supermoon entered the crucible, Sunan turned on the auxiliary control mode and began to refine the super werewolf potion. But what he didn't know was that at the other end of Baron Peter's territory, in Gus Pasha's original territory, a group of people were hiding in the basement, discussing in front of the dim candlelight. Today is the moment for us to once again open the door to the perfect world. Look, there is a supermoon outside. We can perform the ceremony once again. We are all victims of Gus Pasha. The cruel Night Lord trampled on our lives and dignity at will, and killed our loved ones. Even though he is dead, our resentment still exists. We must use the power of the moon to once again open that perfect world. Overthrow the tyranny of the nights. Chapter 31. Ghost Potion and Fight for Moonlight. In the basement under a civilian house in the former Pasha territory. The basement of this civilian house is now full of mirrors. Each mirror is exactly 13 meters apart, and 3 candles are placed in front of each mirror. A group of cultists are sitting together between the candles and mirrors. They all have excited looks on their faces. They sing mysterious hymns, saying, "Every soul is full of strength and pride. We suffer here, we cry here, but we will never give up. Because living in that equal world, there is the dawn of freedom. In the depths of equality, the flames dance happily. Pain and despair are transformed into strength here. Every soul is looking for the wings of freedom." Just half a year ago, the woman passed through Maple Leaf Town in a carriage, and they took this opportunity to meet the adult at the market in Maple Leaf Town. The adult told them that it turned out that people were not only preyed on by the Night Lord in every place. There is a place outside this world where there is no hierarchy, no distinction between superiors and inferiors, and everyone enjoys the same treatment. The world that the adult outlined deeply intoxicated those who were persecuted by the brutal rule of the Pasha family. One by one, they joined this cult and believed in that adult. When they sang the hymn of pain that praised pain under the supermoon, the candles around them began to flicker little by little. In the mirrors around them, some things that did not belong to this world appeared. These beings that were never human were hidden in the darkness, slapping the mirror surface, as if they were eager to enter this world from the mirror world. Sacrifice. We want sacrifice, human cubs. We want sacrifice. We need sacrifice to make the two worlds partially overlap. Otherwise we can only stay in the mirror world. The cultists immediately slaughtered 3 rams in front of the mirror, and then the largest mirror in the center of the ceremony suddenly began to crack with a series of clicks and clicks. In the darkness, a being appeared, and it tore apart the other dark shadows in the darkness. It said angrily, "Hurry up. We haven't visited this world for more than 2,000 years. It's like the fat sheep in the sheepfold, making us salivate. I heard that the wizards have left here. Ha ha ha, then isn't this place like an egg without a shell, allowing us to roam freely? Why is the passage so narrow that I can't get in at all? The power of the supermoon, why does it seem to have been sucked away? Wait, something's wrong. A cultist looked at the figure in the largest mirror with longing. The figure in the mirror was a human figure, but his hands were like scissors hands, full of sharp and very long claws. The cultist said to the mirror eagerly, "My lord, as long as you can enter this world, can you overthrow the tyranny of the knights and give us a free world?" The unknown existence with scissor hands in the mirror said, "Of course. Just as Cheshire promised you half a year ago, I will grant you equality." In fact, when the 7 lords came to this land 2000 years ago and were deliberately sealed in the cathedrals by sheepdogs and wizards, we had already won at that time. But you may have made a mistake. The figure with scissor hands in the mirror suddenly slapped the mirror violently, but it couldn't get out no matter what. The power of the supermoon has been taken away by someone. I can feel the magic of that guy. So evil. That evil magic power is plundering the magic of the moon floating on this land, which makes me unable to get out. You are wrong. You are wrong. I will kill you. Damn it. Why is there such deep magic power on this land? That is not a sheep. A wolf has mixed in with the flock of sheep. I don't care. I must take this opportunity to get out. After a while, a small character like me will no longer be qualified to taste the human world. Even if you use your lives, you must open this passage. Humble human, you are fully responsible for this. I must come in today. In the basement, the cultists who were chanting, "Hymn of Pain," began to bleed from their noses one by one, and their faces became hideous. The existence in the mirror was obviously using their lives to open the passage, but it suddenly changed its tone and looked above the basement in the mirror. It became quiet and no longer knocked on the mirror angrily. It's that guy's evil magic power. What did he do? Why is the magic power so evil? Why would such a being appear in this era and on this land? Read the error-free version at 69 Book Bar. 69 Book Bar publishes a novel for the first time. Read at 69 Book Bar. He's coming. Do something quickly. In the attic of the castle, Sunan began to refine the super werewolf potion and used a mixture of ginger powder, garlic powder and secret world ore powder to transform all the magic power projected by the supermoon to the earth into a tangible flower fragrance and absorb it into his own crucible. But he soon discovered that someone in his territory was using the supermoon to perform a second ritual at the same time. This led to the possibility that Sunan's potion refining would fail. Realizing this, Sunan immediately used the ghost potion he had developed within a month. Ghost. The technology of this potion is very simple. It is to reverse the ghost into a relatively low-level half-ghost. However, the reason for designing it is that the intelligent brain has deduced the characteristic that ghosts are more likely to absorb moonlight magic in the previous actual combat test of the ghost series potion. Therefore, when Sunan broke all 15 bottles of ghost potion he had refined this month, the whole attic was full of translucent ghosts flying in the air. These ghosts have no other abilities and their attack capabilities are not great. At most, they are just a hindrance to ordinary people. But when Sunan sprinkled ginger powder, garlic powder and secret world ore powder on them, the magic power of the supermoon quickly gathered. A huge ritual center was formed here. The ghosts in the air began to chant the special spell to call the potion power with Sunan. At the same time, the first bottle of super werewolf potion refined by Sunan has been refined. Sunan poured a whole bottle of ordinary werewolf curse transformation potion into the crucible, and then the color of the potion and the entire crucible began to change to black and gold. This means that the potion is complete. At the same time, at this moment, an illusion appeared in front of Sunan's eyes. A giant werewolf about 3 meters tall slowly climbed up from the wilderness, stared at him with fiery and violent pupils, and then howled to the sky. Violent, powerful, and unrestrained. Sunan packed up the potion, then raised the potion bottle and shook it at the wolf lying in the corner. The wolf's ears immediately stood up, and its tail also shook. It quickly ran to Sunan's feet and started the dog licking mode. Chapter 30 to the second sublimation of werewolf. Castle, attic. Come, big wolf, take this potion, and then go to the second ritual center in my territory. Sunan probably guessed their identities. He should have thought of it long ago. The special astronomical phenomenon of the supermoon was not only noticed by him. Big Wolf obediently raised his head, opened his mouth, and swallowed all the super werewolf curse transformation potions. At the same time, Sunan nodded apologetically to the anxious second wolf. I will make you the second bottle right away. The supermoon astronomical phenomenon occurs 4 to 5 times a year, so Sunan has prepared the refining materials in advance. He will keep refining the super werewolf potion here all night. Similarly, in order to prevent those cultists from affecting him for the second time, Sunan decided to let Big Wolf find the hometown of those cultists. During the brief struggle for the magic power of the supermoon just now, Sunan roughly determined their location. Probably the place of the former Pasha territory. In the attic, there was a loud and terrible wolf howl. After taking the super werewolf potion, the wolf felt severe pain and kept tearing the wolf skin on his body because a larger super werewolf body appeared in his body. This is the second sublimation. The concept of the super werewolf potion is that this potion must be taken again after taking the ordinary werewolf potion once, otherwise the user will die. In other words, this forms an advanced order of potion taking. The ordinary werewolf curse transformation potion is the first sublimation, while the super werewolf curse transformation potion is the second sublimation. Sunan is not sure whether this design exists in the wizard world, but from the current information, it should be his original design. Sunan said, "Go, my servant. Clear the obstacles for me." The intelligent brain began to record the second contact with the energy creature. The last contact was too short and there was no chance to obtain the technology of simulating the energy shell with mana. Now is the second chance. At the same time, it is also an experiment, and the enhanced werewolf's combat performance against the energy creature. Sunan walked to the table and picked up a herb on the table. It was aconite, which was the main core material for strengthening the wolf poison +1 potion. The core herbs of the wolf poison +1 potion are verbena and aconite. It was just an accident that the cultists interfered with his potion making this time. It was a small side effect of not fully digesting the Pasha family's territory. Therefore, he did not have time to make the wolf poison upgrade potion that he was going to give to the super werewolf. The wolf poison +1 potion is also a secondary sublimation potion. You must take the wolf poison potion first before you can take the wolf poison +1 potion. In order to prevent confusion in the name, Sunan changed the potion to Mixed Wolf Poison Potion. The new Mixed Wolf Poison Potion, in theory, will cause the person who is poisoned to have nerve confusion, madness, and the characteristics of squeezing the potential of the body and attacking everyone around him until his body can no longer support it, enters a state of shock, and then dies. The mixed wolf poison will be more difficult to detoxify than the previous single wolf poison. It can be said that it will become the most powerful attack method among werewolves at present. Even Sunan could only add some new herbs to the mixed wolf poison potion to turn it into an antidote, to dissolve the wolf poison mixed with multiple toxins. After rushing out of the castle, Wolf, who was transformed into a super werewolf, ran all the way under the moonlight towards the former Pasha leader. Sunan continued to refine the super werewolf potion, added a crucible, and refined the mixed wolf poison potion, and transformed his mental power into mana, while using the wolf pack effect to manipulate and guide Wolf. At the same time, he asked the intelligent brain to check Wolf's current physical fitness. Big Wolf, super werewolf courier, age 2 years old, strength 2.5, speed 3 constitution 2.5, skills, racial skill 1, reduce normal damage, racial skill 2, super speed, self-healing, additional potion skill 1, steel claws, additional potion skill 2, wolf poison, additional potion skill 3, fury, additional potion skill 4, summon wild wolves, super werewolf skill 1, beast transformation. Super werewolf is linked to both the full moon and the super moon, thus gaining a huge boost in basic strength. Super werewolf can transform freely between werewolf and wolf forms, thus forming a form called giant wolf. Super werewolf can transform into the beast form of a giant ordinary wolf. Based on the beast form, the super werewolf's speed will increase by 1, while its constitution and strength will decrease by 0.5 respectively. Super werewolf skill 2, moonlight tracking. Under the moonlight, all the 5 senses of the super werewolf are doubled. Under the moonlight, the super werewolf will become the most powerful tracker. Weaknesses: flames above 1500 degrees Celsius, Pure Silver. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book bar publishes a novel for the first time. Read at 69 book bar. Defect. Poor IQ, so that he must be commanded by the wolf pack. After reading this data, Sunan realized that this was simply an epic enhancement. First of all the panel data of the werewolf messenger increased by 1. Such panel data can easily suppress senior knight attendants even without using skills. It can be said that the super werewolf messenger, Wolf Big, is already in existence that can fight against the Storm Knight independently. Moreover, the immortality of the super werewolf messenger has undoubtedly been enhanced again because it is associated with the full moon and the super moon at the same time. First of all, the super werewolf messenger is no longer afraid of ordinary flames. It must be a flame of more than 1500 degrees Celsius to suppress its self-healing ability. Similarly, it must be pure silver to hurt it. In the current medieval society, pure silver is very precious. Moreover, the burning temperature of paper is generally 200 degrees Celsius. The burning temperature of gasoline is more than 400 degrees, and the highest is nearly 1000. The burning temperature of torches is lower, and the temperature of most areas of ordinary house fires should be 400 to 1000 degrees Celsius. In other words, under normal circumstances, it is difficult for the flames in the current society to reach 1500 degrees Celsius. It must be the center of a super fire to reach it. Of course, this excludes the magic that wizards may use to manipulate flames, and the flames that may be manipulated by life forms from other worlds. Secondly, the super werewolf has 2 more racial skills. One is beastly transformation, and the other is moonlight tracking. This has led to the super werewolf messenger becoming the king of the Dark Knight killer in the current situation. Sunan ordered the werewolf to transform into a beast. The wolf was very obedient to Sunan's orders, so without any hesitation, it immediately changed while running at a fast speed. It changed from a 3-meter tall werewolf to a huge wild wolf nearly 4 meters long, and its speed suddenly increased, moving at high speed on the ground towards the former Pasha territory. The speed has indeed increased a lot, even above the Storm Knight. Sunan thought. I heard that above the Storm Knight, there is the Storm Knight who has a stronger faith in the god of storms. It's just that the Great Knight is rare in places like this. I don't know what the basic data of the Great Knight is. Sunan noticed someone approaching the attic, but it was Warwick. Warwick said anxiously, "Young master, what happened? Why did you send a werewolf messenger to another part of the territory? Is there anything I can do for you?" Sunan said, "Don't worry, it's nothing big. Help me guard the castle. Don't let anyone get close at this time, even my cousin Julia and Uncle Father Louis." It should be said that Father Louis should be especially careful. After all, he is a clergyman and religious nobleman of the Storm Church, and Sunan does not want to get entangled with the Storm Church for the time being. Chapter 33 The Blind Nun. The residential area on the edge of the former Pasha territory. The huge wolf landed silently in the middle of a group of houses and transformed from the wild shaper-shifting form to the werewolf form. It walked between 2 houses without making any sound and did not wake up any of the sleeping residents. Where the super werewolf messenger walked, the weeds and wildflowers on the roadside began to dehydrate, and the branches and leaves drooped and became listless. The immortality of the werewolf has already desecrated the preciousness of life and blurred the boundary between death and life. Sunan has strengthened it again with the help of the supermoon, which has caused the plants to resist the approach of the super werewolf. The manifestation is that these delicate plants appear very weak around the evil magic power of the super werewolf. Under the moonlight, all the sensory functions of the super werewolf are doubled. Therefore, the smells floating in the air, like identity marks, appeared in front of the wolf and Sunan behind it. Relying on the smell, they can easily identify the degree of emotional tension in these people in this area. With the super werewolf's exaggerated hearing in the moonlight, even through several walls, Wolfta can hear the beating of the hearts of the sleeping people. The smell plus heart rate can roughly distinguish the target and find those who are holding the ceremony. Sunan looked at a house on the edge of these houses and found that those people were under that house. There were more than a dozen adults under that house. Their hearts were beating very fast, as if they were suffering and feeling fear. Wolftab walked towards the house silently. There were 3 people in the house, secretly peeping out of the window. There was a circle of cobblestone-like stones on the ground around the house. Sunan controlled wolf data looked down and saw some very strange runes engraved on the stones on the ground. These runes were all very twisted, and each word was like a twisted flame burning. The stones engraved with these runes naturally repelled ordinary people from approaching. Most ordinary people would subconsciously stay away from here under the spiritual suggestion of this stone circle. I think this is a reason why the soldiers were asked to check the territory before, but they didn't find the cultists hiding in the former Pasha territory. Sunan saw these runes with the help of Langdau's perspective, and he was a little excited. He said, "Intelligent brain, record these runes. These runes should be a kind of text, similar to Latin letters, which are the basic symbols of language. These runes may be the text of the energy world of the blind spider before. I was just worrying about how to use magic to simulate the energy shell of energy creatures. And these runes are the biggest breakthrough for me to crack the text of that energy world. It's really a pillow sent to me when I'm sleepy." After confirming that the intelligent brain has finished recording, Sunan ordered, "Forward." The super werewolf messenger raised his right foot and placed it above these strange stone circles and paused for a moment, keeping a stepping action, and his right foot stopped in midair. In the eyes of the three cultists in the house, with the hope that the werewolves could not enter the stone circle, Langdau's foot fell hard. One foot crushed several strange stones under his feet. With Sunan behind the scenes, how could such mental disturbance confuse the super werewolf messenger? The cultists in the house screamed. "That monster, he's coming in. The stones that the Lord taught us to place are useless." Those stones were clearly very useful to the lackeys of Gus Pasha, the cannibal lord. Where did that monster come from? Can the new lord drive monsters? Why? He is just a lowly human, the lowest of the low. Humans are the ugliest and lowest of the low. Only when we give ourselves to those lords can our lives have meaning. The werewolf rushed in and knocked the door off. The wooden door directly killed the three cultists. Sunan had nothing to say about this group of cultists. It sounded like these people had a lot of opinions about Gus Pasha. With Gus Pasha's almost negative administrative management ability, he could probably guess why these people were so hostile to Gus Pasha. But this is not the reason why these people created riots and held rituals in the territory some time ago, summoning the existence of an energy world that is obviously hostile to all humans. Obviously, the territory has changed its lord, and Gus Pasha was killed by himself. Normal people will not directly join the side that is hostile to humans and hate all humans extremely because of being bullied. Moreover, Sunan noticed that there are some beings that are completely different from life at the bottom of this house. They are getting closer to this world. Therefore, he must interrupt this stupid ritual immediately to prevent the two worlds from partially overlapping and really summoning some abstract things in his territory. Sunan quickly found the iron door of the basement on the floor. The wolf-sized steel claws scratched through the iron door with one claw. Sunan, who was more than 10 kilometers away, said to the intelligent brain, "Analyze the surrounding environment. This area is being changed by some powerful ritual. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book 1 bar publishes a novel for the first time. Read at 69 book bar. Yes. It is recommended that you use the wolf pack effect to continuously release mana waves around the super werewolf messenger. The recommended frequency is once every 0.2 seconds. The release range is 10 meters around. You don't need to use too much mana, just disturb the surrounding environment a little bit. You can use this method to better detect the surrounding environment and get feedback from this method to obtain relevant data of the environment. The runes recorded before, and this data will be very meaningful." Sunan understood that this is to let the wolf messenger act as a human detection radar. However, he really needs this information. Sunan gathered the mana of the werewolf messengers and his own mana through the wolf pack effect and continued to create mana fluctuations. The wolf walked into the basement slowly, but every step was accompanied by a huge vibration. There were even many howlings of the frightened cultists in the basement. At the same time, the black shadow of the scissor hand in the mirror in the basement wanted to retreat. It felt the werewolf messenger gradually walking down the stairs of the basement. Feeling Sunan's deep mana. Although the passage is rare, I was lucky enough to get this opportunity. But there will be more summons later, and I will not lack opportunities. Humans are always like this. As long as they are tempted a little, they will blindly believe, like moths flying into a flame. In the future, there will be more and more summons to us in this land, and more people will fall. This time, I'd better retreat. Besides, weren't the werewolves extinct a long time ago? But they are still in this land. This is too strange. I'd better look for the next opportunity. This territory doesn't look easy to mess with. In the mirror, the black shadow of the scissor hand was retreating step by step. It was obviously just behind the mirror, but the mirror seemed to communicate with a deep and boundless terrifying world, so the black shadow of the scissor hand was quickly moving away from the human world. But as it retreated, it suddenly bumped into something that was moving forward. "Is it you, blind nun?" A cold voice appeared. "Get out of here. Coward, you are afraid of mortals. In this case, let me have the passage. Let my soul descend and possess the body of a cultist who summoned us. The delicious blood food belongs to me." Chapter 34, The Blind King. As the blind nun walked towards the human world, all the mirrors in the secret room shattered in an instant. At the same time, all the cultists who sang the hymn of pain, in an instant, their human lives were extracted by the world behind the mirror to expand the channel, so that at least part of the blind nun's soul could descend to the material plane. In exchange, the souls of these cultists whose lives were extracted would be sucked into the energy world behind the mirror. The two worlds are like a balance. How much I gain, you lose. If the existence of the world behind the mirror wants to descend, it must let the lives or sacrifices of the cultists in the material world, that is, the territory of Sunan, enter the mirror world. In the secret room, some cultists have already found something wrong. They wailed in their last moment as human beings. "My lord, why are we so miserable? Didn't you say that world is perfect and can satisfy all of us? My lord, we don't want to die yet. When we said we hated this world before, we didn't mean we would die now. I'm only 30 years old, I'm still young, and I still want to live. I don't want to die yet." But it was useless. These cultists died suddenly in a very short time, lying on the ground. After the last surviving cultist fell, he suddenly opened his eyes wide, and then sat on the ground. Although he was facing the basement door, he turned stiffly to face the mirror behind him. In the mirror, the palm of the blind nun pressed on his head in the mirror. The palm of the existence from another world enchanted his head. "In the name of the king with eyes but no pearls, humans, ignore it, do not react, do not sympathize, and never act. Today I come in the body of a human, and all the gods in heaven are dung." The reflection of the fainted cultist in the mirror gradually merged with the blind nun, and the two souls merged, and they were inseparable from then on. The super werewolf messenger walked down the stairs. Although Wolfdad was just an ordinary hound, he could speak after 2 sublimations, but he had not learned to speak human language yet. Sunan borrowed his body and said, "Who allowed you to possess the people of my territory? Although he is a death row prisoner, but without my permission, please leave his body." The blind witch turned around and looked at Sunan. "Mortal wizard, although I don't know how you got the magic, I think you should be a wizard with incomplete inheritance. Therefore, your elders didn't tell you that you should choose humility and fear in front of us. This land will belong to us sooner or later. Our 7 masters used tricks to deceive the gods and came to the mortal world. Every moment, they corrupted your kings and lords. From then on, the world is troubled. At least a few decades, at most hundreds of years, this land will belong to us. But mortals have no other choice. You have a new choice. Surrender to us and become my slave. I just need a messenger in the mortal world." What interested Sunan was that when the possessed cultist turned around to face him, his face had no eyes. It was not a disability. It was as if there had never been an eye. The facial features were natural, with a nose, mouth, and eyebrows, but there was no space for the eyes. But the other party seemed to be able to see. Sunan simply sneered at the other party's so-called surrender. He wanted to explore magic and get in touch with wizards, not to be a ghost. The most important thing was that in his opinion, the other party was not much stronger than Gus Pasha, but just one of his experimental materials. As for the other party's so-called constant corruption of the king, it sounded irrelevant to him. It said that it would take at least several decades to complete its plan. Not to mention the long time, even this shortest time might be a lie. As long as he continued to explore magic, find the traces of wizards, and gradually strengthen himself, he would definitely become a powerful wizard in less than a few decades. Therefore, Sunan basically ignored the nonsense of this low-level energy creature summoned by the cultists. He only picked out the key points to listen to and observe according to his own interests. Sunan thought to himself, intelligent brain, analyze why the other party can possess people, and why the eyes of the possessed person disappeared. Yes, we can make a guess that it should be the characteristics of the energy creatures in the energy world that allow it to possess humans. It is known that the energy world is energy that determines matter and spirit, which is different from the material world and the spiritual world. It is the energy of the energy creature that possesses the human in the material world. This seems to be one of their innate abilities and does not require any prerequisites. The disappearance of the eyes is determined by the energy characteristics of the other party with a probability of 85%. The eyes of the objects she possesses should disappear. The specific situation still needs to be confirmed by actual experiments. Sunan knew that it was a rare opportunity for him to meet energy creatures. After all, he originally wanted to keep a few alive and summon energy creatures once a month to do research. Who knew that, as soon as he came down, he found that everyone present had been killed. Therefore, Sunan directly used the body of the wolf to test. Why don't you have eyes? Sunan used the eyes of the wolf to see the scene that mortals could not see. Behind the body of the possessed cultist stood a blind nun wearing a black nun's robe and bowing her head. She had both majesty and twisted temperament. The blind nun said, "Why do you need eyes? People in the world like to stand aside and watch, ignore the suffering of others, and never lend a helping hand. If you have eyes, you still have to explain why you turn a blind eye. Without eyes, you can lose empathy for everyone, and then you won't be kidnapped by others, and you can stand aside and treat everyone indifferently. Ignorant lord, it seems that you reject my proposal. Do you think that the weak magic records you have learned in this world can help you? You don't know what world and what existence you are facing." The next moment, she suddenly rushed towards the wolf controlled by Sunan. She controlled the body of the possessed cultist and wanted to pinch the neck of the super werewolf messenger with both hands, but she found two problems. The error-free version is available at 69 book bar. 69 book bar publishes a novel for the first time. Reading on 69 book bar. First, the neck muscles of the super werewolf messenger are too thick, and she can't pinch it at all. Second, the power of the super werewolf messenger is far beyond her imagination. She was actually hit backwards by the claw of the super werewolf who was in a frenzy. After she possessed the body of the cultist, her energy shield was actually opened by a claw. At the same time, after the super werewolf's claw scratched her, it actually injected a strong toxin into her chest. How is it possible? There shouldn't be too many wizard inheritances in this world. Even if there are, they must be incomplete, because for 2000 years, various churches have been trying to eliminate any traces of the existence of wizards, and deceive the people of this land day after day. Therefore, it is impossible that there will be such a powerful magic. On the other side, Sunan asked the intelligent brain to analyze the physical data of the blind nun possessed now. Blind nun possessed strength 2 speed 2 constitution 2.5. The body has an energy shell, which can avoid most spell damage. The surface of the body has special power that can reduce some physical damage. Sunan immediately realized that this data panel is indeed much better than the blind spider he encountered in the secret world before. But this data panel, when encountering senior knight attendants, they can deal with it with experience and wisdom, and the storm knight should be able to suppress it directly. Not to mention, it is facing his latest super werewolf messenger. The power and speed of the super werewolf messenger can crush the opponent. Only the physical data is equal, but the super werewolf messenger has both immortality and damage immunity, and a bunch of additional potion skills. Once the frenzy is turned on, the body panel rises rapidly. In a head-on confrontation, the opponent will definitely be suppressed by himself. However, this thing actually has the ability to exempt some physical damage, and has a first sight kill effect. If an ordinary storm knight faces her, he may overturn in a hurry. But unfortunately, the opponent met him. He must be eaten to death. After confirming the opponent's power limit, Sunan has prepared to suspend the offensive. One is to test the super werewolf combat data, and the other is to test the opponent's combat data. Tonight, I can say that I have gained a lot. Not only did I successfully refine 2 magic potions, but I also obtained a lot of information about the energy world. Sunan controlled the super werewolf messenger and transformed it into a beastly transformation. He wanted to test the combat data of the beastly transformation. In the secret room, the blind nun saw that the werewolf in front of her was lying on the ground and changed into a different form. Suddenly, she felt the strong malice from Sunan. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35, The Name Sealed by Magic. Inside the secret room, as Wolf transformed into its beastly form, it changed its fighting style. It no longer charged head-on, but began to rotate around the blind nun. But it was not just that, it simply rotated around her. In this small secret room, Wolf could move on the ground and jump on the walls and ceiling flexibly. Every jump of its huge body could cause a small earthquake. Despite this, the blind nun could not keep up. But Wolf always found an opportunity to attack the blind nun. In general, based on Wolf's current actual combat performance, Sunan believed that the hard power of the super werewolf messenger could defeat the Storm Knight head-on. The intelligent brain reminded Sunan that 89% of the energy shell has been reversely cracked. Please do not stop testing the surrounding environment and the energy creatures in front of you. Sunan then continued to adjust the beastly form and werewolf form, and began to conduct combat tests with the person possessed by the blind nun. 98% of the energy shell has been reversely cracked. The key technology is being cracked. Please do not stop, and do not kill her. Sunan tried his best to restrain the impulse of the wolf to give the blind nun a fatal blow. The blind nun also vaguely felt that Sunan's first purpose in fighting her did not seem to be to kill her or drive her back to another world. But the more this happened, the more angry and confused the blind nun became. What confused her was why Sunan had not destroyed the body she had descended into. As long as this mortal body was destroyed, she could not descend in a complete form. She could only descend as a soul for the time being, and she would have no way to deal with Sunan, and naturally could not invade Sunan's territory. What made her angry was that she descended into the world and faced mortals, and she should have enjoyed blood food wantonly, but now, she was teased by Sunan. When did humans have such abilities? When was she so weak? Human, you are so bold. The blind nun was distressed by the human body she was possessed in now, which was just the body of a civilian in the former Pasha. She could use this body to maintain the physical fitness, to crush the Storm Knight's attendants, which was already very powerful. But what she didn't expect was that the Lord of Maple Leaf Town, which should have been easily conquered, was actually a wizard. And the opponent also had the werewolf that had long disappeared. According to Reason, the relevant records of its creation had been destroyed more than 2000 years ago, and it should have disappeared. And what surprised the blind nun was that even ordinary werewolves could not be strong enough to fight her. That was why she confidently entered this land at the beginning. The werewolf in front of her seemed to be much stronger than the werewolves she had heard of. The opponent's claws were harder than steel, and every time it bit, it would inject venom into the person it possessed. As time passed, it could hardly suppress the wolf poison in the mortal's body. Moreover, the wizard behind the control of the abnormally large werewolf seemed to have some purpose. Why did he keep fighting it, but not kill it or expel it? What was his purpose? Exclamation mark. The blind nun wanted to turn the situation around. She rushed to the door of the secret room, wanting to leave this secret room. But how could Sunan let her leave here and go to her own territory? The next moment, the super werewolf controlled by Sunan slapped her back. Who are you? The magic heritage of this land has long been cut off, and the remaining words and phrases cannot support your current magic power. The blind man got up from the ground and stared at Sunan angrily. Could it be that you are not a native here? Yes, you are not a native here at all. You deceived me. But you don't know what you are facing, what kind of world you are facing. Sunan didn't want to answer at first, because it was meaningless to talk to this bad thing, but at this moment, hearing it tell him that he didn't know what world he was facing, Sunan was indeed interested. So, which world are you from? Or Guardian said that there are many kinds of energy worlds. Seeing the meaning of the continuous invasion of this energy world, Sunan realized that the other party had an unusually large aggressiveness, and would even invade the Storm Kingdom more frequently in the future. Therefore, Sunan also wanted to know which energy world this was, and what more he could get from this energy world. The blind nun controlled the possessed person, and floated into the air. I'm the messenger of the blind king, I'm XXXX I am. More than 10 kilometers away, in the attic of the castle, Sunan, who was refining 2 kinds of magic potions in front of the crucible, raised his eyebrows in confusion. In the secret room, the blind nun realized one thing. That is, the name of their world seems to be sealed by some power, which may be sealed by those wizards, or by the church. But in short, it is sealed. The name of their world, even if known by humans, will produce a distorted magic power, causing the human who knows the name to gradually distort and degenerate. After all, in their world, everything is energy, even the name is energy. Knowing the name of their world is equivalent to accepting the energy of their world. The blind man originally wanted to use this to trick Sunan, but who would have thought that at this time, the name of their world is still sealed for the time being. The next moment, her chest was pierced by the wolf claws of the super werewolf, and her heart was crushed. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book bar first publishes a novel. 69 book bar reads. She looked up in astonishment, as if she was puzzled as to why Sunan, who had been holding back before, suddenly exploded to kill. But what she didn't know was that just half a minute ago, the intelligent brain finally responded. The energy shell has been completely analyzed, and the principle of the ability to be immune to some physical damage flowing on the opponent's body surface has been discovered. It belongs to the energy shell variant. It is no longer necessary for it to live. You can destroy it. Sunan used the super werewolf to say to it, remember, without my permission, my people cannot be possessed by you, and Baron Peter's territory will never welcome you. Ah. The blind nun fell into boundless anger. She didn't expect that she accepted the order of the blind king and encountered such a defeat when she entered the mortal world for the first time. Mortal lord, I will remember you. I will come back. When my real body descends, your current magic power will not be able to save you. Because her physical body was destroyed, her real body was revealed. She wanted to touch the face of the super werewolf controlled by Sunan with her palm, but chains burning with flames appeared behind her. These chains wanted to pull her back to her world, because she should not exist in the material plane. At the same time, most of the souls of the cultists who were sucked into that world were vomited back and floated in this secret room. After the advent ceremony failed, the energy world with a sealed name and the material world exchanged again. The blind nun returned to the unknown energy world, and most of the souls of the cultists had to return to the material plane. Very fair. Sunan asked the intelligent brain to record this scene as a reserve data. He was really curious about what this energy world was. The blind nun seemed unable to tell him directly. The characteristics currently displayed by this energy world were also very interesting, and it seemed that it could also be used as one of the main sources of information for his own Death Knight potion series. Sunan didn't even mind continuing to have contact with them in the future. As for the threat posed by the blind nun, Sunan didn't take it seriously. Not to mention, when she would come in person, even if she did, he could still capture her and use her as experimental material to continue exploring the characteristics of that energy world. Sunan looked at the souls of the cultists floating in the secret room, and it was fine. He planned to collect these souls as new experimental materials after he came here in person. Perhaps he could research something. Sunan ordered Wolf, stand by. The first combat data of the super werewolf messenger was basically collected with the cooperation of the blind nun. Chapter 36 Werewolf Butler Potion and Werewolf Warrior Potion, and planning for the future of the territory. That night, Sunan made a total of 6 bottles of super werewolf potion and 10 bottles of mixed wolf poison potion. This was enough for himself, Perra, Wolf, and his first two hounds, Wolf Big and Wolf 2, to be transformed into super werewolves and use mixed wolf poison potion. There was even one more bottle of super werewolf potion left. At the same time, in the second half of the night, he went to the secret room of the cultist and ordered the old butler Warwick to clean up the bodies in the secret room and use a bottle of blank ghost potion to collect all the scattered cultist souls for a search. As a baron, in this era, it is a simple matter to deal with a few bodies in his own territory. No one dared to say anything. So the follow-up things are very simple. Knowing that this world is not as simple as it seems, Sunan is ready to strengthen the werewolf army again to defend and monitor the territory so as not to let the cultists and those energy creatures enter his territory so easily. In the next month, Sunan refined 20 bottles of werewolf curse transformation potion and transformed 20 newly trained hounds into werewolf messengers. In this way, he had 30 ordinary werewolf messengers and 2 super werewolf messengers. Although the number of wolves increased greatly because he, Perra and Warwick had taken the super werewolf potion and had undergone secondary sublimation, the number of werewolf messengers that could be managed increased greatly, so the newly added werewolf messengers did not cause much burden. In fact, the intelligent brain believed that their current control power was still much more than enough, and they could add 10 more basic werewolves. This proved that the upgrade of potions could play a decisive role in improving their military strength. Sunan also increased his mental power and mana from 12 to 14 by taking the mental power enhancement +2 potion within this month. In order to maintain the rapid improvement of mental power and mana, Sunan asked the intelligent brain to set up the calculation of the formula of the mental power enhancement potion +3 in advance. It's funny to say that Sunan has always been a little afraid that or would ask him how he improved his mana and mental power. Did he get it by taking drugs? At the same time, Sunan used the newly obtained information to refine a werewolf curse transformation potion, Werewolf Deacon, with enhanced sense of smell and hearing within this month. He selected 5 of the 30 hounds with the most effective noses and asked them to take it, and they became 5 basic werewolves, Werewolf Deacons. The formula of the Werewolf Deacon potion was slightly modified. The material that increased strength and speed, Wolf's Bane Aconitum, was removed, and the juice of dandelion and lavender that increased perception was added. All the panel data of the Werewolf Deacon are 0.5 lower than the most ordinary werewolf messengers. But as an enhancement, their sense of smell and hearing are more than 4 times that of ordinary werewolf messengers, and even stronger than the super werewolf messengers who are not in the moonlight. This is a branch of the werewolf curse transformation potion that Sunan specially asked the intelligent brain to research in view of the chaos caused by the cultists mixed in with ordinary people before, which caused him to not have time to find them. Later, he will increase the number of werewolf deacons in the werewolf group to 10 and comprehensively monitor the entire Peter Baron territory, prevent any strange things from sneaking into his territory. During this month, Sunan also encouraged Maple Leaf Town to trade in ancient books. He planned to build a bookstore and a new library in Maple Leaf Town to attract more scholars to Maple Leaf Town and attract more merchants to bring old ancient books into his territory to trade ancient books with him. In this way, he can continuously absorb the essence of civilization from the entire society. This is much faster than collecting books by himself. This is also the purpose of Sunan to keep the Peter Baron territory. This territory is for him to serve, to plunder and collect the knowledge of the entire society for him, so he will also keep this territory prosperous and wealthy. In this way, any knowledgeable scholar will be attracted involuntarily. If Maple Leaf Town becomes a world center, Sunan can easily obtain all the knowledge he needs. This is far more useful than any compulsory measures. Of course, this is just a plan of Sunan at present. Maple Leaf Town is now at most a small economic and knowledge center in the southern part of the Storm Kingdom, and its influence cannot exceed that of the former Thracian military region of the Eastern Empire, an administrative region between the province and the prefecture level city. But Sunan believes that as he improves his magic power and studies more potion formulas, this territory will rise with him. The influence of the Peter Baron territory will go beyond this area, beyond the Storm Kingdom, and go to the world. As he becomes stronger, this once weak territory that was despised by the lords will rise with incredible power and attract the resources that Sunan wants. in the room where the soldiers live in the castle of Peter Baron territory. When Sunan walked in, the soldiers and maids were a little surprised. They didn't expect that Sunan, as a baron, would walk into the room where the soldiers lived. The room where the soldiers lived was not very big, but it was enough. There were some simple furniture inside, including wooden beds, wardrobes, and even toilets and bathrooms for the soldiers. This was Sunan's request, because he wanted his soldiers to at least keep their bodies clean. At that time, many maids and soldiers came over and stopped Sunan from approaching because the soldier in this house had tuberculosis, which was a potentially contagious disease. The head maid Pera heard the sound and hurried out of the soldier's room. The other servants covered their faces with cloth strips, but Pera did not. After all, the super werewolf has a quadruple immortal body. The error-free version is available at 69 book bar. 69 book bar first release a novel. 69 book bar read this disease cannot infect the super werewolf at all. But she was still a little worried about Sunan. My little master, your soldier was infected with this infectious disease when he returned to his hometown this time. If you can, you'd better not get close to him. Sunan waved her hand carelessly. Miss Pera, let them all go out and stay away from here. Pera thought of something, turned back and took a deep look at the emaciated soldier, Quinlan Blom, on the wooden bed. Mr. Blom is undoubtedly a good veteran. When he was an old baron, he had already pledged allegiance to the Peter family. Now he was over 50 years old and had not married. He was optimistic and liked to help others, so many people wanted to visit him before he died. But to be honest, in this territory, the only person who could save him was indeed Lord Sunan. In the room, Blom tried to sit up from the bed. Lord Baron, you shouldn't be close to, cough cough cough, close to me. I'm already a dead man. You, cough cough cough. I'm sorry, I can't continue to protect this territory, although I have protected it for most of my life. If possible, I really hope that I can live a little longer, even if it's just one more month. Co. He covered his mouth with a white cloth, and the white cloth soon turned black and red. In fact, in this era, even white cloth was a rare medical resource. If Sunan hadn't ordered the doctors to give Blom whatever they had, I'm afraid Blom wouldn't even have a clean cloth and a basin of hot water. But despite this, he was still tortured by the disease. The torture even made him so painful that he wanted to give up his life. Sunan raised his eyebrows. Mr. Blom, I'm very grateful for your loyalty to me, especially 5 years ago when our territory was at its lowest point. I came here to ask you if I can keep you away from the god of death. Would you still be willing to serve me? I mean, true loyalty without the constraints of the oath to the god of storms. On the hospital bed, Blom, who was suffering from tuberculosis, suddenly had his pupils shrink. In this month, in order to use the existing magic power to enhance the military power in his territory, Sunan asked the intelligent brain to invest computing power to study the second common werewolf curse transformation potion, Werewolf Warrior. This is a werewolf curse transformation potion for humans. Sunan hopes that werewolves can also wear the equipment of human soldiers, use weapons and tools, so as to integrate their current resources and strengthen their strength again. Therefore, the positioning of a werewolf warrior is a werewolf who uses tools, plate armor and human weapons. And Blom, who is seriously ill, may become his first werewolf warrior. Chapter 37 Werewolf Veteran Blom. Even if I don't swear to the god of storms, will I continue to be loyal to you? Blom, who was emaciated on the bed, muttered to himself. For someone like him who has been a believer of the god of storms since childhood, Sunan's words just now were actually very harsh. The relationship between the Lord and the people is largely maintained by religion. The Storm Church has repeatedly declared that, if the Lord gives up his faith, the people in the territory will not have to be loyal to a pagan lord. But Blom thought about it carefully and found that in his life, the Storm Church and the god of storms were really not as important as Sunan. In his mind, there appeared bits and pieces of his life in the territory of Baron Peter, all the good memories of the past, and those not so good memories. One by one, he found that he loved this familiar land, familiar people, and the familiar Peter family. His loyalty to Sunan and the old Baron was based on the emotions of his entire life, not the illusory and cold god of storms. Blom muttered in a low voice. If I was loyal to you simply because of the god of storms, I would have fled with those soldiers 5 years ago, or I would have been recruited by Gus Pasha. Cough cough cough. Blom coughed dryly and said eagerly, if possible, I'm willing to continue to serve you. Even if I don't swear to the god of storms, my loyalty to you and your family will not be weakened in the slightest. But, cough cough, cough cough. Lord Sunan, it's a pity. I'm almost dead. Cough cough cough. With this degree of illness, no doctor can do anything. Cough cough cough. Accepting the arrival of death is also a helpless choice for mature people. Blom coughed violently, holding the white cloth and coughing continuously. The whole piece of white cloth was completely contaminated by dirty blood. But the next moment, his pupils suddenly shrank. Because he saw Sunan approaching him, he said anxiously and weakly, no, stay away from me, I will infect you. Sunan handed him a potion bottle, which was the werewolf warrior potion. Since you will still be loyal to me, this loyalty will be rewarded. Drink this and you will be fine. Don't worry. Tuberculosis bacteria, the plague in your body can't infect me. The intelligent brain scanned this guy's body and basically confirmed that it was tuberculosis, but Sunan was very curious about how he was infected with tuberculosis. It has been more than 5 years since I came to this world, and I haven't found any large-scale plagues and infectious diseases spreading. But starting this year, all kinds of strange things have become more and more. Blom took the potion bottle. He was half believing and half doubting, but out of trust in Sunan, and this was Sunan's order, he just had to obey the Lord's orders as a soldier, so he didn't wait for Sunan to explain in detail, and drank it directly. Seeing this, Sunan didn't explain, because Blom will use his own body to personally feel the effect of the potion just now. Sunan thought to himself, intelligent brain, start recording the consumption of the werewolf warrior potion. Analyze Mr. Blom's physical data. The reason why Blom was not given the super werewolf potion at the beginning was not only because he needed to sublimate once and digest the first potion before the second sublimation, but also because there was another reason. The effect of the warrior version of the werewolf curse transformation potion has not been actually tested yet. So if there is any problem, he can still modify it on the original basis and give Blom additional potion to make up for the defects. Therefore, Sunan was not in a hurry to give him the super werewolf potion at the same time. Raw. Blom, who was lying on the bed, suddenly raised his head, first screaming in pain, and then howling like a wolf. The muscles and bones of his whole body began to adjust and reorganize in the first transformation. His hair began to grow rapidly. A kind of wild power appeared violently in his chest, belonging to Sunan's magic power, echoing with the surging blood in his veins. As Blom, as a human, began to transform into a werewolf, Sunan also noticed that the nature of his magic power was also changing. It became deeper and heavier. Blom on the hospital bed soon completely turned into a werewolf, and the flesh and blood on his originally skinny body began to recover again. His health returned again. His tuberculosis also recovered rapidly under the effect of the werewolf's triple immortality, and many minor ailments left over from years of training and fighting, such as rheumatism in his knees, also disappeared. Blom felt that his body had almost returned to the energetic state when he was still a strong young man. He looked at his wolf claws in surprise and looked up at Sunan. The moment he turned into a werewolf, he joined Sunan's wolf pack, so he also sensed Warwick and Pera, who were also werewolves. There were also 37 werewolves in the territory that were transformed from hounds. Blom blinked and quickly adapted to his new form. So, Lord Sunan, is this why we can suddenly take back our territory? Sunan nodded. It's incredible. I was cured the moment I drank the potion you gave me. It's as if I had never been sick. Blom jumped down from the bed. As a veteran, he was very satisfied with his current state. Moreover, I feel that I can do a lot of things that my body couldn't do before. Veteran Blom stepped hard on the bluestone floor of the room, and immediately stepped on the stone bricks, and sank into them. Veteran Blom suddenly became a little embarrassed. This seems to be my own room. It's just that I didn't expect that I would collapse the floor with 1 foot. But he quickly reacted, with this power, who cares about the god of storms? Lord Sunan, I will always be loyal to you. At this time, the intelligent computer gave his body data to Sunan Quinlan Blom. The error-free version is available at 69 book. 69 book bar first published a novel 69 book bar reading age. 51 strength. 2.1 speed. 2.1 constitution. 3.1 Special ability 1 Reduce ordinary damage. The damage caused by ordinary swords and weapons seems to be no longer fatal. Special ability 2 Super speed self-healing. With a strong self-healing ability, it can exert a much stronger power than the paper data. Weakness: afraid of fire, afraid of silver weapons. On a full moon, various physical qualities can theoretically increase by 0.5. Sunan observed this data. This data panel is much higher than the werewolf messenger, and it is far higher than the werewolf deacon. But compared with the higher level werewolves, the strength is only 0.2 higher, the speed is 0.1 higher, and the constitution is 0.1 higher. Basically, the battle between the two sides is not a crushing game, and the werewolf warrior can only be regarded as having a small advantage. But Sunan observed that the hands of the werewolf warrior transformed by Blum were slightly deformed. Although there were wolf claws, these wolf claws only gruesome claws, and wolf hair on the basis of human hands. No other werewolf palms were so deformed. This is the biggest feature of the werewolf warrior. Since the function of human hands is retained to the greatest extent, the attack power of the wolf claws is slightly reduced, but instead, various tools can be used, as well as human weapons, crossbows, spear throwers, two-handed swords, as well as operating catapults, setting traps, etc. The key is to be able to use crossbows and throwing equipment, which can increase the ability of long-range attacks. If the crossbows, arrows, and potions are used together, such as tying a bottle of sleepy bug potion or a single-legged standing potion on the arrows, the attack effect will be outstanding. Sunan can even develop a potion with attack effects for this purpose. Moreover, the werewolf warriors retain the human body structure to the greatest extent, which makes it easy for them to wear human plate armor. Unlike the werewolves, transformed by the werewolf messenger, the werewolves' bodies are almost impossible to wear plate armor, unless they are specially designed. But the cost of designing and producing them alone is too high. It is better for Sunan to use potions, to strengthen their hair to increase their defense. And the high-level werewolves are not originally specialized for fighting. They are better at dealing with, and commanding wolf packs. Sunan gave the first order to the werewolf Blom. Wait a minute, you will wear plate armor, and use a two-handed sword, to fight with Mr. Robert. He wants to collect actual combat data of werewolf warriors. Sunan added, you are different from ordinary veterans now, so I have higher requirements for you. I want you to learn some martial arts with Mr. Robert. Blom didn't expect that. He thought he was going to die the last moment, but the next moment, he had to learn martial arts with Lord Robert. He suddenly felt that this world was a little crazy. Blom said to Sunan, yes, my master. Chapter 38 The idea of Storm Werewolf takes shape. A week later, in the afternoon, in Maple Leaf Town, a masked ball was being held in the slightly luxurious 3-story wooden villa of the Carpenters Guild. Many wealthy businessmen, small nobles, and beautiful women would join the ball. Sunan symbolically participated in the ball. After all, as the lord of the Baron of Peter, he still had to let his subordinates and subjects know his thoughts and attitudes, and show some of his predictable characteristics. Occasionally contact his subjects. Otherwise, if he didn't contact himself for a long time, some subjects would spread all kinds of absurd and exaggerated rumors. But Sunan didn't like this kind of ball. The masked ball sounded good. It was a ball, but in fact it was just an excuse for promiscuity. The nobles and wealthy businessmen wearing masks could choose anyone to attend the ball at will. Soon, this place would become chaotic, and that Sunan was not interested in doing performance art here, so he just showed his face and asked his guard Robert to inform President Is, then put down the wooden mask and turned away. President Is could only tell everyone immediately that Lord Baron Sunan enjoyed the dance, but he was busy with work, so he left early and asked everyone to enjoy it before leaving. After Sunan left, the wealthy businessman Page next to President Is raised his wine glass and said with a smile, Lord Sunan is indeed different from the old Baron, Gus Pasha, and the old mayor. It's really hurried. President is glanced at the old fox coldly. Anyway, Biggs Pasha and the convicted former mayor are much better. We only run the trade, and Lord Sunan will protect everything else. The rich businessman Mage said quickly. You misunderstood me. I didn't mean to be disrespectful to Lord Sunan. And I also know that that night, just one night, the powerful and brutal Gus Pasha who had been arrogant in Baron Peter's territory for 10 years died. The entire territory has been basically recovered by Lord Sunan, and the knights of the remaining knight territory have recently resumed paying taxes, and have expressed their allegiance, and will fulfill their corresponding military obligations. It's a great thing that Maple Leaf Town has such a powerful lord who completely lets us operate normally. But Mrs., haven't you noticed it recently? Maple Leaf Town is expanding and developing faster. The rich businessman Mage said, I'm an investor, and I know that only by following the right people and doing the right things can you make a lot of money. President is, I think you understand. I think Lord Sunan is that rare person who must be followed closely. President is seemed to be thinking about something. After Sunan left the ball, he got on the carriage and returned to his castle. Along the way, he noticed that Robert, who was riding in the same carriage with him, looked lonely and had a wound on the corner of his mouth. Sunan asked, how did you get hurt? Robert coughed a few times, then said a little embarrassedly, it's like this, my master. Storm God, I just fought with Blom and Warwick a few times recently. This is a very normal duel, and I absolutely don't have any jealousy. I'm not jealous, I just, a little. Sunan glanced at Robert's unwilling eyes. Oh, I understand. Robert is jealous. But I can understand him. After all, his strength is obtained by his years of training and belief in the Storm God. Every bit of strength growth means his hard work and hardship. As a result, he can't beat the old butler now, and even Blom, who he thinks is a slick old man, can't beat him. It is conceivable how complicated Robert's emotions are. Sunan coughed, interrupting Robert's internal friction, and then said to Robert, it's okay, Robert, I respect everyone's choice. Everyone has their own strengths. At least Warwick and Blom, you are the one teaching them martial arts now. You are their master, you don't need to doubt yourself. Robert, doubting yourself will only make your strength decline. Robert was immediately determined. He looked at Sunan with gratitude. He still wanted to continue on the path of Storm Knight. Otherwise, wouldn't he have wasted the first half of his life? Lord Sunan is right. Robert thought. As long as I become a Storm Knight, I should be able to beat Blom. Robert was just excited for a few minutes, and he suddenly remembered the old butler Warwick, whose strength had exploded again recently. His eyelids twitched. After he became a Storm Knight, was he really the old butler Warwick's opponent? Robert was in a state of confusion. Could it be that the magic that Lord Sunan talked about was really so powerful that just drinking a bottle of potion could make people surpass those powerful official knights? All along, in Robert's mind, the image of a formal knight was very tall, because that was the goal he wanted to achieve since he was a child, to become a formal Storm Knight. The error-free version is available at 69 Book Bar. 69 Book Bar publishes a novel for the first time. But now, he really began to doubt his ideal of life. Robert raised his head slightly and looked at Sunan. Because the old Baron was half of his adoptive father, he always wanted to follow Sunan. But now it seems that the path of the Storm Knight may really not keep up with Sunan's growth. So is there any other way to gain more powerful power? Robert said, Lord Sunan, I mean, the old butler's martial arts have improved rapidly recently. When he fought me in werewolf form, he not only adapted to my skills, but also developed unique attack techniques. He can attack the enemy with his wolf claws and teeth at the same time while jumping. His recent attack method seems to have strengthened the biting action. I have to say that biting does make people feel scared and have to be on guard during a fight, for fear of having their fingers and ears bitten off. The butler said that this is why he is working hard in this direction. He really has a talent for fighting. He really took the wrong path when he was a butler before. I joked with him that he should have been a warrior instead of wasting his talent. He always laughs, too. Sunan raised his eyebrows. He always felt that Robert had something else in his words, as if he was on the map of Yan State, but he still nodded and said, if that's the case, I can make him a special potion to strengthen his mouth muscles. However, the action of biting is indeed very unique. It is very deadly to humanoid enemies and requires constant vigilance. For example, when both sides were blocking and holding their hands, the werewolf on his side suddenly stretched out his head and bit the other side. It seems that making a potion that strengthens the bite attack is also a good idea. Robert couldn't help asking, so each potion must be designed separately? If I transform into a werewolf, what characteristics do you think I can transform into? Ahem. I mean if. Sunan looked up at Robert and thought seriously. It's true that the life forms that drank the werewolf curse transformation potion before were either hands-on or combatants. The only combatant was an ordinary veteran. If Robert, as a Storm Knight squire, or even after becoming a Storm Knight, transforms into a werewolf, it seems to be a very good and new idea. I can design a more unique werewolf curse transformation potion for him. Of course, the super werewolf potion is a secondary sublimation potion, which is the same, and there is no need to modify the formula. Chapter 39 The Despotism of Epirus. Sunan asked the intelligent computer to calculate the possibility of designing a separate version of the werewolf potion for Robert. But in this way, the intelligent computer needs to obtain more information about the Storm Knight, not only experimental materials, but also a complete set of information inherited by the Storm Knight. This is not difficult for Sunan now. There is still a formal Storm Knight in his territory, and even if he is unwilling to provide it, there are also Storm Knights in the surrounding territories. With a little effort, he can get these materials. The carriage quickly returned to the castle. Sunan was so anxious to go back because today, he made an appointment with someone to make a deal in his castle. A wandering little noble from the Epirus Despotate County, a small country next to the Storm Kingdom, arrived in his territory yesterday. After learning that Sunan would exchange ancient books with golden treasures, especially those ancient books with a long history, he was moved and contacted the head maid Pera through the servants in the castle. Pera told Sunan about this. The wandering knight swore that he had a box of ancient books excavated from the ancient tombs scattered throughout the mountains and forests of Epirus. He even claimed that the owner of these ancient books was very noble, perhaps dating back 1,000 years, so he had to meet Sunan in person before he could make an offer. Of course, he was just bragging and selling himself. It was hard to say how true it was. The so-called price can only be set after meeting me was mostly because he was afraid of being at a disadvantage. Sunan directly asked the old butler to invite the man into the castle. Sunan looked at the little nobleman. The little nobleman was dressed in dusty clothes. After he invited him into the castle, he was a little uneasy and behaved very restrained. Sunan pointed to a stool and said to him, "Sit down. Let's get it straight. Show me your so-called ancient books. I will personally identify the authenticity and give you the corresponding appropriate compensation." The little nobleman sat down with a guilty conscience. "God of law, you really are just as rumored. You do not discriminate against us pagans who believe in the God of law. You are a lord with a broad mind." Sunan did not answer, but looked at him with an urging look. The young noble was a little at a loss and asked a close-fitting male servant he brought with him to quickly open the box and then handed several ancient books to Sunan. Sunan took the ancient books and began to flip through and check them while thinking about the situation of the Epirus Despotate. The Epirus region is indeed likely to have preserved a large amount of information related to wizards and magic. The Epirus region is a region covered with hills, mountains and primeval forests. The weather there is gloomy all year round. Even now, there are still many primitive people living there, maintaining an ancient lifestyle, and there has always been a legend that some fragments of witchcraft still remain in the primitive tribes in the Epirus region. Moreover, the Epirus Despotate itself is some of the remaining fragments of the Eastern Empire, which believes in the God of Law. 57 years ago, the first batch of Storm Knights who came to the Storm Kingdom, trampled the Empire. Although they destroyed the main body of the empire, they did not completely conquer the remaining fragments, because they lacked follow-up military strength. The title of Epirus Despotism carries the typical cultural characteristics of the Eastern Empire. According to the naming habits of the Storm Knights from the Holy United Empire, the Epirus despotism is just a slightly larger earldom located in a remote area, deep in the mountains and old forests. It is just because the area of Epirus despotism is too barren, and it costs a lot to attack it, so the first batch of Storm Knights did not capture this mini country that claims to be one of the orthodox heirs of the Eastern Empire. Similarly, there are at least 3 other pieces of the remaining fragments of the Eastern Empire around the Storm Kingdom. Most of them are only the area of the earldom to the dukedom, but they call themselves despots. But the largest remnant, the Kingdom of Nicaea, is still in the east, ready to counterattack the Storm Kingdom at any time, and it really has an area, population, wealth and army equivalent to the Storm Kingdom. So now the Storm royal family is not having a good time. There are Bulgarian nomadic tribes in the north, the Kingdom of Nicaea ready for revenge in the east, and a lot of pirate countries in the south. In the country, there are a lot of knights and nobles who don't listen to the orders of the Storm royal family. It's no wonder that the royal family urges me to pay back the money every day. The royal family doesn't have much money themselves, and they may still expect me to pay back the money and help him. Sunan scanned several ancient books in his hand. These ancient books were all parchment scrolls, and the language recorded on them was very ancient and niche. However, the intelligent brain happened to have analyzed this language before. This is not an item of a prince or noble, but a burial object of a chieftain-like figure in countless small tribal countries in Epirus, before it was conquered and assimilated by the Eastern Empire. Sunan's eyes became slightly serious, because from the scroll he just glanced at, it actually recorded the life of this legendary chief. When this legendary chief was born, his tribe was destroyed by a more powerful tribe, and because he was shorter than the wheel, he was spared, and became a slave of the more powerful tribe. But it says here, that the legendary chieftain received a divine gift one day, when he was offering sacrifices to a crow animal god with 3 snake tails, a kind of primitive religion in Epirus. He gained a power called transfiguration. He could drive statues, let those stone statues fight for him, and even drive stone statues. With this ability, the chieftain rebuilt his tribe, and destroyed the more powerful tribe, but in the end he was assassinated, because of his witchcraft. Sunan felt that, even if some of this biography was exaggerated, there might be some truth in it. He quickly flipped through the parchment scrolls, and asked Warwick to get the remaining parchment scrolls in the box. After a quick reading, the intelligent brain recorded all the scrolls, and through a logical analysis, such as using several recorded deeds to verify each other, it believed that these things were likely to be true. Moreover, although this parchment scroll did not directly record the so-called transfiguration of the legendary chieftain, there were many words of the chieftain before his death, as well as his own notes for his own memory. That's enough. The intelligent brain was able to infer and complete the transfiguration from these scattered and incomplete information in the form of magic potions. Although Sunan still did not obtain a complete spell model, he was very satisfied with his current gains. Read the error-free version at 69 book. 69 Books publishes a novel for the first time. Read at 69 Books apostrophe. The Epirus region is a world deep in the mountains, where there may be many witchcraft inheritances that have not been cleared up by the major churches. Sunan thought, if I have time, I can even go there myself and explore to see if there is anything to gain. But now someone is exploring for me, which is much more efficient than me alone. The primitive tribal chief in the Epirus region is likely to have a wizard talent and accidentally obtained the wizard's inheritance. After hearing Sunan's evaluation of the ancient books he brought, the young noble felt even more uneasy. He said with some embarrassment, "Lord Sunan, so these ancient books are worthless?" In his habitual cognition, Sunan collected these ancient books, which might be the hobby of collecting like the children of old nobles. If so, the burial books of a prince of the Eastern Empire and the burial books of the leader of the primitive tribe in Epirus are 2 concepts and 2 values. The young noble sighed in his heart. There was no way. It was not easy for a person like him to make money, especially now that his country was destroyed, and his family was ruined, and he could only wander around. The young noble asked Sunan with a guilty conscience, "Lord Sunan, how much are you willing to pay for these books? Give me some money." I dug them out with great difficulty. Sunan did not look up. but paid attention to the relevant records and descriptions of the use of transfiguration in the ancient books. If I'm not mistaken, you should be doing something like tomb robbing, and it's not very successful. You can't find any gold or silver treasures. You finally found a batch of ancient books, so you came to Baron Peter's territory with great interest, because of the reputation I spread, that I like to collect ancient books. The little nobleman looked embarrassed. It's not that he was angry, but he was afraid and ashamed. As a nobleman and a believer of the god of law, he actually did things to make money from the dead, which really brought shame to his ancestors and the god of law. Sunan said, "But congratulations. I really need this batch of books. I'll give you 25 gold coins. What do you think? By the way, what's your name? I think we can still cooperate in the future. If you have such gains in the future, you can come to me again." The little nobleman suddenly raised his head and looked at Sunan in disbelief. 25 gold coins? This is too generous. This is neither gold or silver treasures, nor is it a famous painting or calligraphy weapon. It's just a pile of books that you can't understand. This was a bit shocking for the petty nobles who generally despised books in this era. However, he quickly reacted and said to Sunan enthusiastically, "I think this couldn't be better. You are so fair. My name is John Dukas, but I'm not the direct heir of the Dukas family. I just have a surname." Well, Sunan raised his eyebrows. The Dukas were once one of the royal families of the Eastern Empire. It's just that this family has been in decline for a long time. The last direct heir should have died decades ago. Sunan is also 1,000 gold market horse bones. In this way, more and more people will dig out these ancient books for him from the Epirus region. Anyway, they can't understand these ancient books, and other people won't collect them, and they are of no use to them. This is much faster and more convenient than exploring the Epirus region by himself like a headless fly. He usually has to spend time making potions and researching experimental potions. In short, Sunan believes that mobilizing the power of the masses is far more efficient than fighting alone. Chapter 40, Sacrificial Stone Curse Transformation Potion. In the 58th year of the Storm Kingdom, spring came. After Sunan got the sheepskin scroll from the chieftain of the Epirus region, he immediately spent half a month to analyze the content related to transfiguration, and then spent another half a month to calculate the formula of the series of sacrificial stone potions. At the same time, within this month, his mental power and mana reached 15, which was considered to be a senior second-class wizard apprentice. The calculated progress of the mental power enhancement +3 potion reached 11%. The territory also expanded 5 werewolf deacons again. In this way, there are 1 werewolf warrior, 2 high-level werewolves, 32 werewolf messengers, and 10 werewolf deacons in the territory. In total, there are 45 werewolf members. The werewolf group is unprecedentedly powerful, and the wolf pack composed of more than 40 werewolves also represents the strengthening of the wolf pack effect. Since each werewolf can enjoy the sharing and benefit of the wolf pack's mana, the combat effectiveness of the wolf pack is definitely not just the simple combat effectiveness of more than 40 werewolves added together, but the effect of 1 + 1 greater than 2. The wolf pack will guard the territory in secret, making Peter territory the habitat of the wolf pack. And Sunan, who owns the entire wolf pack, has more mana than just his individual 15 points of mana. He can call on the mana of the entire wolf pack and exert a level beyond the 15 points of mana value. The intelligent brain has calculated that if he calls on the mana of the entire wolf pack now, he can increase his mana to 18 to 19 in a short time. This proves that developing a wolf pack group is also very beneficial to oneself. The wolf pack group is like one's own extra mana container, or an alternative wizard tower. In the attic of the castle, the intelligent brain pointed out to Sunan the 3 development directions of the Sacrifice Stone Curse Transformation Potion. The Sacrifice Stone Potion is the formula of the Transfiguration Potion obtained from the relics of the chieftains in the Epirus region. According to the description in those relics, the intelligent brain concluded that transfiguration can change the movement properties of an object, so it can give the statue that originally would not move the ability to move. But the spell of the nameless chief is just a simple transfiguration, that is, the stone man he drives is not a real life. The intelligent brain can use the connection principle of the werewolf curse transformation potion combined with the transformation technique, to develop a series of potions for the sacrifice stone curse transformation. It is really possible to turn ordinary statues into living beings by putting sacrificial stones into the cavity of the statue. Having statue soldiers is also a very meaningful thing for Sunan. This will further strengthen Sunan's magic power. Scheme 1. The Sacrifice Stone Series potion has a magical connection with a high mountain, so that the Sacrifice Stone statue life form has an indestructible body, and you can get a series of strong stone men. Scheme 2. The Sacrifice Stone Series potion has a magical connection with a swamp, so you can create a series of swamp mud men, but the combat effectiveness of the swamp mud men may not be ideal. Scheme 3. The Sacrifice Stone Series potion has a magical connection with your castle, and you can get a series of statue soldiers related to the concept of the castle. In this plan, since the castle is not just a thing in nature, but also a special creation of human beings, the statue soldiers will be more transformable and combinable. Mountains and swamps cannot be easily changed, so they can only be stone men and swamp mud men. But after connecting with the castle, the statue transformed by the magic potion of sacrificial stone curse is essentially a mechanical life composed of stone and bricks or other building materials cursed by sacrificial stone magic, and its material can be changed at will. For example, in the future, add steel, granite, or body materials such as obsidian and lava to its body components. If more magic materials can be obtained, more stone soldiers with different structures and surface materials can be obtained by upgrading the main body of the castle and changing the materials of the statue. Sunan thought about it and decided to choose option 3. Option 3 is obviously less stable than the first two, but the upper limit is higher than the first two, and it will be more nurturing. Secondly, there are no mountains or swamps near his territory. This thing is different from the moon. If you establish a magical connection with these things, you have to guard against the enemy, who may make moves in these places. On the contrary, the castle is originally his base camp. In the future, he can also strengthen the castle. Moreover, in this way, the stone man made by himself with the magic potion is equivalent to a part of the castle and can even be regarded as an alternative castle elf. Perhaps, it is also a good possibility to turn the entire castle into a huge stone man in the future. In that way, he can carry the castle around. Sunan chose option 3, and the intelligent brain immediately gave the formula for the magic potion of the sacrifice stone curse. This time the formula is basically all minerals: 7 grams of river pebbles, 5 grams of ordinary gravel on the road, 1 gram of black soil, 1 gram of brass, 1 gram of lead, a piece of hematite ore, a piece of marble, a little diamond powder, 1 gram of realga and orpiment to adult units of soul fragments, a brick from a castle with a history of more than 10 years. The older the brick, the better the effect. The castle of the Peter family was built 50 years ago, which fully meets this requirement. Finally, there are 5 gold coins that never change. The formulas made by the intelligent brain and Sunan have an unchanging feature, that is, they like to use gold coins, a metal with trading attributes, to enhance the magic power of the magic potion. The recipe for the potion of the curse of the sacrifice stone is very difficult to make. Because there are a lot of metal minerals in it, some mana is needed to melt these metals and stones in the crucible and make a potion. If Sunan's mana and mental power had not reached 15, it would be difficult for him to make this potion. In the attic of the castle, Sunan put a brick removed from the oldest building of the castle into the crucible in the dark. Then, he added water, as well as the above mentioned metal and ore materials. Under the precise control of his mana, the pieces of metal and minerals turned into liquid and melted in the crucible. The error-free version is available at 69 book bar. 69 book bar first publishes a novel. 69 book bar reads that each metal must be put into the crucible at a precise interval of 1 minute. Otherwise, it will fail. Similarly, the biggest test for Sunan is that he must use his mana to make the metal completely dissolved by the potion within 1 minute. Otherwise it will still fail. In other words, starting with this potion, there has been a rigid requirement for mana. If the mana is not enough, the refining requirements alone cannot be met. In the dark night, all the liquid in the crucible evaporated. The melted metals and ores also disappeared, and only a drop of light green viscous liquid appeared in the entire crucible, emitting a faint light in the dark night. This is the stone sacrifice curse transformation potion that can give stone life. The difficulty of refining is already very high among the second class wizard apprentices. Sunan poured the drop of light green liquid in the crucible into a glass bottle and then took the glass bottle and walked to a statue in the attic that he had ordered the stonemason to build. This is a 3-meter high stone statue carved from a whole piece of marble with a round body, slightly bloated and strong. Anyway, Sunan thinks that even if the stone man runs slowly, he can roll directly on the ground, so it doesn't matter, but it can improve defense. After all, it's so heavy, and it won't be very effective to lose weight. The overall shape of the stone man is human. At the same time, there is a pair of wings behind it. These wings are essentially used to balance the center of gravity, just like the tail of an animal. The stone statue is too heavy. If it wants to walk and run with a weight of more than 10 tons, it needs to redistribute gravity all the time. The best way is to give it wings or a tail. Sunan chose wings in the shape, and wings can attack all enemies around when besieged, producing a large-scale rotating slash compared to tails. So, Sunan gave the drawing to the old stonemason and his apprentices who were responsible for the carving. The old stonemason thought that this was a statue of a sacred angel of the god of storms, so he took great pains to carve this statue majestic, sacred, tall and mighty, like a powerful angel giant. Every detail is trying to reflect his piety to the god of storms and his loyalty to Sunan. But he didn't know that Sunan asked him to carve this statue in order to use the sacrifice stone curse transformation potion on it. Transform this lifeless statue into his own sacrifice stone sentry. Sunan put a glass bottle containing a drop of sacrifice stone curse transformation potion into the chest cavity of the stone statue. Unlike all previous potions, the sacrificial stone curse transformation potion is not taken directly. The stone man cannot take it directly either. Instead, the potion must be placed inside its body, and then the potion bottle will function as a battery plus integrated circuit board, combining with the core of the stone statue to become a sacrificial stone core, and through transfiguration and magical connection with the castle, it will be given mobility and vitality. In essence, this stone man will be a golem life. It can also be called a sacrificial stone golem. Chapter 41, Sacrificial Stone Angel Statue. Soldier 1 in turmoil. In the afternoon, on the edge of Peter Baron's territory, on the hillside next to Maple Leaf Town, a carriage stopped in this remote and uninhabited place. The driver who was responsible for driving the carriage wore a black robe, and his eyes were filled with extreme fanaticism. He looked at the woman in the carriage from time to time. The woman looked towards Maple Leaf Town through the carriage window. Half a year ago, she passed by Maple Leaf Town and saw the magic power above the castle of the owner of this territory, so she chose to bypass it. But now, even the sky above the town below is shrouded in deep magic power. However, half a year later, this magic power is even more evil than half a year ago. What on earth did the owner of this magic power do? Even if it slaughtered several towns of the size of Maple Leaf Town, this magic power should not be so deep and evil. Strange. The woman looked up, and at the same time, 2 black lines appeared on her forehead, forming a tattoo similar to a goat's horn. The nature of the wizard's magic power has not only become more evil, but also contains some white magic power. It's hard to imagine that the owner of this kind of magic power actually has the power of white magic. Their clan is the descendants of the subordinates of the Blind King who invaded this land more than 2,000 years ago and forced the humans on this land to have sex. In the past 2,000 years, because the magic tide of this land receded, all the energy creatures in the other world chose to leave. They could only choose to pretend to be a human and stay on this land to survive. But, at this moment as early as the year, when the Eastern Empire was destroyed by the Storm Kingdom and the Night Lord of the Crusade 57 years ago, everything has become different. That world has opened a channel to here again. The huge magic power generated by the demise of a 2,000-year-old empire and civilized world is enough to summon the retreating magic tide, allowing the magic power to sweep the world again and be dominated by them. Therefore, most of the magic tide this time is dark magic. Those people, after awakening the power of the Blind King in their bloodline, as well as the bloodlines of the other 6 supreme beings in that world, resolutely betrayed the human side, and then they suddenly became the vanguard of attacking the human world and disrupting order. The woman Sisha glanced at Maple Leaf Town with fear. Although my ancestor, the blind nun, asked me to sneak into this territory, destroy the original order of the territory, and destroy it, in order to avenge the wizard lord. But the task is more difficult than I thought. I almost exposed myself, just by getting close to Maple Leaf Town. The security here is much stricter than it was half a year ago. In just half a year, the magical power in this territory has increased to this level. Has the wizard grown so much in these 6 months? Or, I must be overthinking it. Maybe the wizard is sleeping or sealing himself in some way to hide in this mortal world. So, during this time, he just unlocked his own power. But that's not right. When the magic tide recedes, even if you use a seal on yourself, the seal will become weaker as the magic tide recedes, or even become completely ineffective. Sisha was a little skeptical whether she could complete the task assigned to her by one of her ancestors, the blind nun. However, wizards are irreconcilable with her and her ancestors. Since she has accepted the task, she can only use the resources she currently has to try her best to complete the task. It is probably impossible to complete the task with these useless lunatics. Sisha glanced at her driver with contempt. The driver immediately felt very honored and grabbed the reins and said, "Sir, long live the Supreme Church. For an equal world, for eternal freedom." Sisha looked at him with even more contempt. Although these people were bewitched by her to join the Supreme Church, how could she not know the IQ of the people she recruited? It was nonsense to expect these people to accomplish anything. She knew it in her heart that it was difficult for real talents to be fooled by her empty words. Sisha whispered, "Blind sister, let me destroy this town. There is no other way. It is unlikely for me to rely on supernatural powers alone. We must rely on the power of mortals." She looked to the northeast. What's interesting is that the nomads in the Bulgarian region have encountered locusts and famine recently. It must feel bad to be hungry. Let there be chaos, and the countries in the mortal world will wage war against each other. Then our world, as a mirror image of the mortal world, will become stronger and stronger. Those wars between civilizations will only make the magic tide come more violently. As time goes by, we will become stronger and stronger. Sisha got out of the carriage and said to the coachman, "Our people still can't get into that town." The coachman immediately said excitedly, "Lord Sisha, we tried many ways, whether our people disguise themselves as businessmen, craftsmen, artisans, or even lawyers who believed in the god of law, but to no avail. The militia in that town can easily distinguish our people from a crowd of hundreds of people and catch them. I really don't know why. Damn humans, damn Lord Knights, damn God of Storms." Sisha said calmly, "It's because of the smell and heartbeat. Your heart rate is too abnormal, and you have been with me for too long, and my scent is on you. But the Bulgarian nomads are coming soon, and using those mortals to destroy this town is also a good choice. Anyway, the lords of the Storm Kingdom have never united, they just stand by and watch, and gloat over misfortunes. In such a country, our power will be stronger." In the castle martial arts field, the old werewolf Blom, the knight's squire Robert, and the old butler Warwick are fighting with the 3-meter high sacrificial stone angel statue in the martial arts field. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book bar first publishes a novel. Read at 69 book bar after more than half a month of sacrificial stone core, day, and night energy guidance. The angel statue has been completely transformed into a sacrificial stone golem. So, in order to collect the actual combat data of the angel statue soldiers, Sunan arranged this battle. The fighting power of the angel statue was higher than he expected. Although its speed was very slow due to its heavy body, which was only equivalent to the walking speed of an untrained ordinary person, its heavy body and strong defense allowed it to stand firm under the continuous attacks of the two werewolves, and continue to suppress them. Sunan asked the intelligent brain to analyze the fighting power of the angel statue soldiers. Sacrificial stone angel statue soldier number 1 age. 0 strength. 3.5 speed. 0.5 constitution. 7 racial skill 1, marble body. The energy of transfiguration flows through the marble body, which not only gives it mobility, but also gives it powerful defensive capabilities, making it immune to slashing, fire, lightning, and snow. Racial skill 2, immune to mental attacks. The golem is not affected by any mental spells. Racial skill 3, reorganization. As long as it is in the castle, this golem can be resurrected by artificially repairing the marble, or continue to transform it, as long as the sacrificial stone core is not destroyed. Weaknesses, heavy blunt attacks, strong acid. The last point, reorganization, is the special magic power of the sacrificial stone golem that is endowed with life, because of its connection with the castle. Reorganization magic can give it a powerful ability to be transformed. If it is related to mountains or swamps, it will not have this ability. Sunan said, it's a little slow, only as fast as an ordinary person walking, or a little slower than jogging. But as a castle guard, it's enough. The overall attribute is actually only slightly higher than the super werewolf. But because of the serious imbalance in subjects, while the physique is outstanding, the speed is a little slower. The magic power of a second-class wizard apprentice is still limited. It is already very powerful to be able to move such a heavy golem. If you want to make the golem faster, you need more powerful magic power, which may require the magic power of a first-class wizard apprentice. However, Sunan plans to equip this angel statue soldier with a few more weapons and shields, to continue to enhance its defense. Anyway, just treat it as a mobile wall or tank for your castle. It is enough to catch the enemy who invades your castle off guard. Because the enemy who invades your castle may not expect that the statue in your castle is actually your soldier. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42, Wolf Bite Potion and Grass King Carlo Yang. In the martial arts arena, Angel Soldier number 1 raised his right hand, turned his palm into a knife, and slashed at the ground fiercely. Suddenly, a wave of air formed between the ground and his heavy marble arm. Warwick, the super werewolf butler, Blom, the werewolf veteran, and Robert, the knight's squire, all quickly escaped from the attack range of the knife. With a bang, a pit was chopped out of the stone brick floor of the martial arts arena. When the statue Angel Soldier number 1 raised his right hand knife again, and wanted to continue attacking, Sunan ordered, "Okay, you can stop." Immediately, the statue Angel Soldier number 1 turned his head, and said to Sunan, "Yes, master." The stone golem speaks slowly, which is different from normal people, but it is better than not being able to speak. The stone curse transformation potion can give the statue life. At the same time, there is a characteristic, that after he comes back to life, the first person he sees on the first night will be his master, and there can only be one master, unless the master is dead. If he has not seen anyone on the first night, he will have no master. Therefore, the first night that Angel Statue number 1 became a living being, the person he saw was Sunan. Therefore, Angel Statue number 1 regarded Sunan as his master. Because Angel Statue number 1 established a magical connection with the castle, its character would be very stable, reliable, and loyal. Sunan had tested it before, and even if he asked this statue soldier to pretend to be an ordinary statue for half a month, it would remain motionless, faithfully complete its mission, and not be impatient at all. However, since it is a statue life form, it has no objection to standing guard for a long time. Sunan said to Angel Statue number 1, "Go and stand at the fountain in front of the main building of the castle, while it is not too bright and everyone is still sleeping. Thank you for your hard work, number 1. Angel Statue number 1 said, "Okay, master, and I like to stand." Then, he walked to the fountain in front of the main building of the castle with heavy steps, and then stood there, pretending that he was just an ordinary angel statue praising the messenger of the god of storms. The old butler veteran Bloom, Robert and others had not yet gotten used to the fact that the statue could turn into a living being. They kept looking at the statue with surprise. Veteran soldier Blom said, "Lord Sunan, although it seems strange that the statue can move, it is indeed awesome. I feel that it would be very easy to follow that statue and fight the enemy." Blom said slightly exaggeratedly, "Yes, this way, it will be easier for everyone." Sergeant Robert couldn't help but say, Mr. Blom, not everyone is a veteran like you. Lord Sunan, the combat effectiveness of a statue soldier is indeed good, but it is too slow. It is very deterrent to the enemy in a siege, but its pursuit ability is insufficient. Sunan affirmed, that's right. But for pursuit, we have a mixed force of werewolf messengers and werewolf deacons. Also, for my next golem work, I plan to change my thinking and replace it with a miniaturized hollow plaster statue. In other words, for the number 2 sacrificial stone golem, I want to go the cheap route. Sunan glanced at the several gargoyle statues on the roof of his castle. Generally, there would be such statues on the roof of a castle, one for decoration and the other for drainage. Sunan looked at Blom again and asked, how are you doing with the crossbow? Blom immediately became serious. My master, I promise not to let you down. I'll learn very quickly. Sunan nodded and threw him 2 bottles of one-legged paralysis potion and 2 bottles of sleepyhead potion. Tie these to your arrows and use them first. I will replace them with new ones when I develop new spell potions. Thank you for your award, sir. Blom was very happy. He took the 4 bottles of mysterious potions and began to study them. Sunan said to the old butler Warwick, I spent half a month to research a potion that strengthens the werewolf's bite attack action. It was named Wolf Bite Potion. This potion is not complicated because the werewolf curse transformation potion is already a very mature potion series, so it only needs to refer to the steel claw potion and wolf poison potion on the original basis and make some modifications. The werewolves who take this additional potion will have their fangs and chewing muscles strengthened at the same time, and the stretchability of the muscles and bones around their mouths will be strengthened. In short, when the werewolf bites the enemy, his mouth will stretch to the maximum extent and use his powerful chewing muscles and steel teeth to bite through the enemy's upper body, just like a snake swallowing prey larger than itself. In this way, the werewolf's biting ability will be taken to a higher level. Sunan said, but I will first use the werewolf messenger and the werewolf butler to do some experiments, and I will give it to you after confirming that the potion has stable performance. The old butler Warwick didn't expect Sunan to notice that he liked the little detail of developing the biting action, and he felt warm in his heart. Thank you, young master. Then, the old butler Warwick frowned and said, but young master, we have encountered problems recently. The error-free version is available at 69 Book Bar. 69 Book Bar publishes a novel for the first time. Liujiu Book Bar reading you have been immersed in exploring the mysteries of magic, and we servants naturally have to share the practical affairs with you. It is our honor. First of all, there has been a big problem in the Storm Kingdom recently. The Bulgarian region, for some reason, has encountered severe drought and locusts this year. The grasslands are all deserted. The Bulgarians and their chieftains who had no food, well, they called their chieftain Kaloyan an iron-hander, Grass King. Anyway, they attacked the Storm Kingdom and plundered a lot of food. Moreover, because of the lack of food, they looted more fiercely than before. They attacked all the way to the capital Storm Castle, and after a week of siege, when they returned to the north, they captured a city with a population of 150,000, Whitebird Castle. And after coaxing the citizens of Whitebird Castle into opening the gates and surrendering, they broke their promise not to kill the surrendered and carried out a massacre that shocked the Storm Kingdom and surrounding countries. Sunan raised his eyebrows. Kaloyan Ironhand, the Grass King, is the master of all tribes and some feudalized Bulgar lords in the northern grasslands. He often goes south to attack the Storm Kingdom. But I didn't expect that his beastly nature would explode to such an extent recently, and he is even more brutal than before. However, nomadic forces are different from feudal forces. If the leader of the nomadic forces cannot lead his tribe to win a battle, he will not even have a chance of having a stroke, and will be killed by his subordinates in a rebellion. Therefore, it is understandable that the Grass King Kaloyan Ironhand would do so. Sunan said, then what? If it's just like this, it doesn't have much to do with us, right? Is it the new king who asked us for money? The old butler sighed. Young master, famine and locusts have forced the Bulgars to plunder more food. Therefore, they recently invaded the Storm Kingdom for the second time, bypassing Storm Castle and heading further south. And after the king was defeated, the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki, who should have stopped them and protected the kingdom, chose to stay indoors and act like a coward, allowing the Bulgar tribes to continue to penetrate into the territories of the Storm Kingdom. The Latin Duke of Thessaloniki was originally the last barrier of the kingdom, although we are located further south and are less affected. However, many convoys of friendly merchants in Maple Leaf Town have still been attacked. In addition, a batch of ancient books that should have been sent to Maple Leaf Town 3 days ago are now missing due to the attack. Chapter 43, The Duke and the Baron Alliance. In the martial arts arena, Sunan raised his eyebrows. Other things might not matter, but if it affects his acquisition of ancient books, then those Bulgar nomads are looking for trouble. Whoever affects his exploration of magic will be unlucky. The old butler Warwick also took out a letter from his pocket, on which there was the seal of the family of the Duke of Thessaloniki. Young master, this is the second letter from the Duke to you. I don't think it's a good thing for him to write to you at this time. Sunan had received the Duke's first letter before, but it was basically a basic greeting and a way to get close. The Duke of Thessaloniki was so arrogant that he didn't even explain the relationship between him and Gus Pasha. In the letter, he just used the identity of a senior and a duke to try to talk to Sunan. But Sunan didn't care much about it, so he didn't even reply to a letter. He regarded the duke as an ignorant person, and they didn't work together if they didn't share the same ideals. Anyway, they didn't meet each other normally, so Sunan ignored him directly. Who knew that the Duke of Thessaloniki sent a second letter at this moment? We have cleared the nearby Bulgars in the past few days. It just so happens that I need to test the actual combat data of several magic potions. Sunan looked at the letter in his hand. After reading only a few lines, he became impatient. In the letter, the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki actually tried to fool him and asked him to squeeze Maple Leaf Town and provide him with 20,000 gold coins. In this way, he can be free from the attacks of the Bulgars. Because the Latin Duke of Thessaloniki can use his army, his storm knights, and his own great knight's strength to ensure that the Bulgar tribe will not attack Maple Leaf Town. The last sentence of the letter reads, Dear Sunan, as one of your father's friends and superiors, I want to remind you, it may not be a good thing for you to get Maple Leaf Town. Its wealth will attract the covetousness of the Bulgars. You need a strong protector. Sunan threw the letter on the spot and discarded it like garbage. Good guy, when you met the Bulgars and their grass king Karloyang, you directly became a turtle, and you didn't dare to leave the castle and fight others head on. Now, you still have the nerve to say in the letter that you are strong enough to protect other territories. The old butler Warwick asked Xiang Sunan, My young master, how is it? Did the Duke say anything to you in the letter? Sunan shook his head. Nothing. It's a waste of my time. It's all useless nonsense. The old butler smiled and stopped talking about this topic. The Latin Duke of Thessaloniki is always greedy and wants more. He always wastes his time on things that he has no ability to obtain. But my young master, the Bulgars come and go without a trace. They all ride horses since they were young. How can we find them? Sunan nodded. I have a way. Blom, you are in charge of this battle. I want to observe the actual combat effectiveness of the werewolf warriors. Blom immediately said, Yes, master. At the same time, he was excited and a little worried that his performance was not good enough and would disappoint Lord Sunan. After learning about the invasion of the Bulgars, Sunan went to Maple Leaf Town the next day and, as a lord, forced the town council to open and then had the town council quickly pass a decree. That is, all the friendly merchants and partners of Maple Leaf Town, when they carry goods, enter and leave Maple Leaf Town, their caravans must hang the emblem representing the Peter family, a single-headed golden eagle. If anyone dares to attack the caravan with this emblem, it is equivalent to declaring war on the Baron of Peter. Although the town council of Maple Leaf Town felt that this decree might not be able to deal with the Bulgars, it was at least Sunan's protection for them, so they were all very grateful. However, President Gus and others were not very optimistic about this. If it were other lords of the Storm Kingdom, they might still accept this. But those are Bulgar nomads who believe in the god of beasts, and they don't accept the law. At the same time, during this period, the lords of the two baronies around the Baron of Peter, the Baron of Simon and the Baron of Frank, had personally arrived in the Baron of Peter, wanting to find Sunan to discuss how to deal with the Bulgars. The two lords were really scared. Wherever the Bulgars went, they plundered. But the Duke and King of the Storm Kingdom didn't care about the matter now. The powerful nobles of the Storm Kingdom, that is, those lords who were not on the Bulgars' route, also turned a blind eye. No one stood up, assembled a team, and resisted the invasion. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book bar first publishes a novel. The entire Storm Kingdom was like a pile of loose sand, allowing King Carlo Yankeo and his tribe to invade the Storm Kingdom. However, every time Baron Simon and Baron Frank came to Sunan, Sunan had experiments to do. For Sunan, dealing with the Bulgars was just a matter of convenience, so he didn't take it seriously, so he refused to meet them every time. In the evening, Baron Simon and Baron Frank were refused to meet by Sunan for the third time. They could only ride their war horses angrily and leave Baron Peter's territory together. On the road, Baron Frank was extremely angry. He said to Baron Simon, while riding on his horse, "Maple Leaf Town is richer than all the villages and manors in my territory. Damn it, we are all anxious, but he is not anxious at all. We thought he could get rid of Gus Pasha, a young and promising lord. But now it seems he doesn't think that he can independently resist the invasion of the Bulgars with just one territory." Baron Simon comforted him. Calm down, calm down. It is their own loss that Baron Peter does not intend to join our alliance. At least now the surrounding baronies have basically united. Our 2 baronies, plus Doran, the armies of our 3 territories combined, should be enough to protect ourselves. Baron Simon comforted him. Although Franco is further on the front line than Peter, don't worry. We will not let you be attacked by the Bulgars. Baron Frank snorted coldly. He was so anxious, because if the Bulgars attacked, Franco would definitely be the first to be attacked. Because the territory of Baron Peter was behind that of Frank. Therefore, under his leadership, he came to the castle of the Peter family several times, trying to get Sunan to form an alliance. After all, in his opinion, Sunan was able to suddenly eliminate Gus Pasha half a year ago, so the military force in his hands should not be small. Baron Frank said, "If the Bulgars bypass my territory and attack Maple Leaf Town and Peter's territory, I won't care." Baron Simon smiled and said, "Since Sunan is so short-sighted and unwilling to form an alliance with us, then of course we will not rescue his territory." Chapter 44, Power Claw Potion, Beast God and Beast Knight. 5 days later, in the attic of Baron Peter's castle, Sunan once again researched an additional potion for the Super Werewolf Potion, the Power Claws Potion. Because the original Iron Claws Potion was only the first sublimated additional potion, the power contained in the Super Werewolf was even greater, enough to support more powerful additional potions with more functions. The Power Claws Potion can make the claw muscles of the Super Werewolf who takes it strengthen again when attacking, and increase the power by 0.5 when attacking with wolf claws. Each interval is at least 5 seconds. In other words, the Super Werewolf will use the Power Claws every 5 seconds when using wolf claws to attack. When the Super Werewolf Messenger is in normal state, when using the Power Claws to attack, the power will reach 3. When the Super High Werewolf attacks with the Power Claws in normal state, the power will reach 3.4. And when the leader type werewolf like himself attacks with the Power Claws, the power will reach 3.5. In this way, in addition to the upgraded panel, the Super Werewolf also upgraded the Wolf Poison and Wolf Claws. Sunan decided to upgrade the Super Werewolf's Fury skill later. Only in this way can it be a complete Super Werewolf. Otherwise, it is just a blank Super Werewolf, which is a waste of combat power. That night, Sunan also learned another thing. That is, the 3 territorial alliance of the 3 territories around him, namely Simon territory, Frank territory, and the joint army of Duelan territory, fought with a nearby Bulgar tribe yesterday. The army of the 3 territorial alliance was actually defeated by the Bulgars. Baron Frank was knocked off his horse by a Bulgar cavalryman. It is said that he is now lying in bed with hemiplegia. It will take at least half a year to recover. Baron Simon lost an arm. Frank territory was also invaded by the Bulgars. Half of the villages were slaughtered by the Bulgars. The entire territory was full of fragmented corpses. If the Bulgars were not good at attacking castles, Baron Frank himself would have been torn into pieces by the Bulgars. Now the 3 barons have hidden in their sturdy castles and dare not go out, allowing their people to be slaughtered by the Bulgars. It can only be said that castles, like knights, are indeed the backbone of feudal society. Just a few soldiers are enough to defend a castle. At the same time, the veteran Blom went up to the castle attic. After getting Robert's consent, he opened the attic door. Blom saluted Sunan, who was standing by the castle window under the moonlight. "Lord Sunan, you are looking for me." Sunan said to him, "The Bulgars attacked our caravans with the Peter family emblem in the past week. They violated the laws I established. What do you think?" Blom immediately drew the knight's sword on his back, then knelt on one knee, holding the hilt with one hand, with the tip of the sword pointing downward, and said, "My master, your anger is my shame. I will massacre those damned Bulgars and the damned beast knights of the Bulgars. Let them never dare to attack the caravans wearing your family emblem again. It's a pity that I can't find their location." Sunan turned around and took out the last bottle of super werewolf potion from the potion cabinet. The potion bottle with a golden glow was full of mystery. He threw the potion to Blom. Blom asked in confusion, "My lord, what is this?" Sunan said, "This is a potion that can be sublimated twice. And today is a full moon. The moonlight is very good. Take it. I'll give you 20 werewolf messengers and a super werewolf messenger wolf too. Under the moonlight, you will not fail to find them." As a veteran, Blom was very obedient. He listened to Sunan's order without thinking about anything, and drank the bottle of super werewolf potion. Then, he arched his back, and let out a low growl. He began to transform into a super werewolf warrior. Because of his wolf howl, he triggered the magic shock of many werewolves in the territory. At the border of Baron Peter's territory, at the southernmost part of Baron Frank's territory, a group of Bulgars wearing felt and clothes made of animal fur were riding on the horse cow beasts, unique to the Bulgarian region, and were destroying the last wealthy manor in Frank's territory. The horse cow beast is an animal that can only be found in Bulgaria. It is actually a kind of horse, but this kind of horse is full of muscles, as strong as a cow, and 1/3 taller than an ordinary war horse. According to the Bulgars themselves, the horse cow beast is a treasure given to them by the god of beasts, and was created by the beast church through divine gift. In short, this kind of horse cow beast is extremely ferocious, and is almost one of the best horse breeds, far from being comparable to the war horses of the Storm Kingdom. A Bulgar with a beard stepped on a soldier of the Storm Kingdom who was already lying on the ground, covered in blood and completely unable to move. "I have been annoyed with you peasants for a long time." "Ah." He grinned with excitement, suddenly bent over, and yelled at the soldier with a mouth full of blood. "Ha ha 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 ha. Why do you, peasants who only know how to till the fields, occupy the most fertile and best land? Your food, goods, and women will all be ours. Whether you are the Eastern Empire people who believe in the god of law, or you, the peasants of the god of storms, are all prey to our great Bulgars, the warriors of the Lord of Beasts." The soldier spat out blood and said, "Lord Frank will not let you go." The next moment, the Bulgar's axe chopped off his head. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book 1 bar publishes a novel for the first time. The Bulgar said disdainfully, "That weak Baron has already hidden in his castle, and will never come out again. You actually pinned your hopes on that kind of trash. It turns out to be the weak peasants of the god of storms. Warriors of the god of beasts. Kill them and burn them for me. Ha 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 ha. Everything here is allowed by our gods, to be looted by us." After the manor was completely trampled to pieces, the Bulgar soldiers continued to slaughter the survivors hiding in the manor. Their culture is not to let go of any captives. Therefore, they have a tradition of massacring the city. Under the moonlight, the satisfied Bulgars piled their looted property in the open space next to the ruins of the manor, and then dragged the female captives one by one to the middle, ready to commit the beastly crime. A Bulgar, who was also a beast knight attendant, said to their leader, the strong man who had just slaughtered the soldiers of the Storm Kingdom, "Powerful Toldo, the strongest beast knight I have ever seen. Chief Novak asked our herdsmen to attack Maple Leaf Town together with our clan tribe tomorrow. Toldo, I heard from those weak Storm Kingdom peasants that the wealth of Maple Leaf Town far exceeds all the villages and towns we have looted before. Powerful Toldo, as the most powerful herdsman leader in our future clan tribe, you should lead us to plunder the most wealth in that Maple Leaf Town." The herdsman's group is a basic collective unit in Bulgaria. The organizational unit of the Bulgarians is the herdsman's group clan tribe tribal alliance. The herdsman's head is one of the most powerful figures in the clan tribe and the leader of dozens of nomadic households. The beast knight attendant looked at the Baron Peter's territory not far away. He was ragged, but looked greedily into the distance. Mighty Toldo, you will lead us to grab the most wealth. If we wait until tomorrow to attack Maple Leaf Town, we will have to share the spoils with other beast knights. Why don't we attack Maple Leaf Town tonight? Anyway, this Frank territory has basically been looted by us. Toldo thought for a moment, but his nature made him unable to restrain himself. He grinned and was about to agree when he suddenly heard the terrified screams of the Bulgars in the distance. Toldo was stunned for a moment. What's going on? Could it be that there are still soldiers from the Storm Kingdom resisting here? Before he could react, he heard two more screams from the Bulgars. Toldo was immediately furious. The Bulgars were basically soldiers because they had to graze. How could these brave and powerful Bulgar warriors scream continuously? Toldo also saw that his own horse and cattle beasts were making uneasy noises. It seemed to remind him that something terrible had arrived. Sunan, who was hundreds of miles away, was also observing the wolf people's combat performance through the wolf pack effect and recorded it as file number 14. He noticed that the special war horses of the Bulgars did have good performance. Just now, he asked a werewolf messenger to secretly use Control Wild Wolf on the horse cow beast. As a result, the horse cow beast was only frightened and then angry, unlike the Storm Kingdom's war horses, which were extremely frightened and lost most of their combat capabilities. Sunan ordered Blom, "It's up to you, Blom, to conduct the first round of tests and test the crossbow attack of the werewolf warriors." Blom responded in the manner connection, "Lord Sunan, please rest assured, I will definitely fulfill my mission. I will kill these damn beasts." Chapter 45. The first battle between Beast Prayer and Super Werewolf Warrior. Toldo, the head of the Bulgar herdsman, shouted angrily, "Who is it? Come out. I'm going to tear you in half." Bang! A horse cow beast cut in half by sharp claws was thrown in front of Toldo. This was a naked provocation. Toldo immediately looked down, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Toldo, who grew up on the grassland, how could he not recognize that the scars on the body of the horse cow beast looked like those left by wolf claws? But if it was really done by a wolf, then the size of this wolf is too big. Moreover, it is elusive. It's really interesting, Toldo said in a low voice. Wolves are the mortal enemies of herders. On the grassland, every time a pack of wolves breaks into a sheepfold, they will not only eat some sheep, but also bite all the sheep in the sheepfold to death. Even if they can't eat that many, then the herder will go bankrupt. The logistical support capability of grassland nomads is completely different from that of agricultural settlements. Once natural disasters or man-made disasters occur, the herders can only blame themselves for their bad luck, and it is almost impossible for them to get much help from the tribe. Because the nomadic tribes have always had scarce supplies, wolves have been the mortal enemy of the Bulgars for thousands of years. As they gained the favor of the god of beasts and had beast riders, the nomads gradually defeated the wolves on the grasslands. But the Bulgar beast riders did not expect that they would encounter a stronger wolf pack when they went south into the Storm Kingdom to plunder these settled farmers. The people of Frank's territory around them screamed. Because, under the moonlight of the full moon, a huge wolf with a body of nearly 4 meters slowly walked out of the shadows deep in the woods. All the horses, cattle and beasts were crying anxiously. The huge werewolf was wearing exquisite full body plate armor, a steel helmet, a bow and quiver on his back, and a pair of iron gloves on his hands. Madness and refinement, civilization, and wildness are combined at the same time. Toldo and his knight attendants were also shocked. They looked at the wolf-like and human-like behemoth in front of them, and they all had some fear from the bottom of their hearts. His knight attendants were slightly stunned. God of beasts, there is such a powerful beast in the Storm Kingdom. Is this the favor of the god of beasts? When the Bulgars were focusing their attention on the super werewolf warrior transformed by Blom, the 20 werewolf messengers suddenly attacked from the darkness in another direction, using their wolf claws and wolf mouth strengthened by wolf bite potion to tear and bite these Bulgars to death. The werewolf messengers attacked very quickly, and with a sneak attack, the bulgars of this herdsman had no ability to resist at all, and soon died one by one. Although the physical fitness of those bulgar nomads was around 1, which was indeed higher than that of ordinary farmers, because the average data of ordinary Storm Kingdom civilians was between 0.4-0.7. But in front of the werewolf messengers strengthened by wolf bite potion, steel claw potion, rage potion, and wolf poison potion, they had no power to resist. A werewolf messenger pressed down on a bulgar, pinning him down with its 2 wolf claws, and then suddenly opened its bloody mouth. The scary wolf mouth actually grew several times larger, like a giant snake about to eat a man, and bit off his head and his entire shoulder in one bite, right under the bulgar's horrified gaze. The last words of the bulgar before his death were, "Lord of the beasts, have you abandoned me? Is this beast your messenger of God?" Beast Knight Toldo originally wanted to rescue his bulgar soldiers, but just as he kicked the head of a werewolf messenger away and tried to help one of his bulgars escape, he was still surprised by the heavy body and powerful strength of the werewolf messenger. In front of him, whoosh, whoosh, several crossbow arrows passed by him, forcing him back. Toldo looked at the super werewolf veteran Blum holding a crossbow, and was furious. "I don't care what you are, but you dared to kill Toldo's people. You." The next moment, Blum threw away the crossbow in his hand, took out a powerful bow from his back, and then shot an arrow at the beast Knight Toldo. It was a 650-pound bow specially made by the craftsman in Sunan Rang's territory. The weight of the ordinary human foot bow is 30 to 81 pounds. Well-trained elite soldiers can use a bow of about 130 pounds, and the knight's bows are generally between 200 to 500 pounds. But before the super werewolf opens the rage, it has a strength of 3.1, a speed of 3.1, and a physique of 4.1. In addition, the muscle groups of the werewolf warriors have been adjusted, which is naturally more suitable for shooting than ordinary humans. Therefore, the weight of the bow he uses is considered excessive among the Storm Knights. The heavy arrow shot towards Toldo like a small crossbow, and Toldo could only roll on the ground and barely avoid it. But the werewolf veteran Blum continued to draw his bow and shoot arrows at the beast Knight Toldo, not giving Toldo a chance to fight back. Toldo wanted to get close to his own horse bull beast, ride on it, and win back a point, but the veteran Blom was much smarter than the wolf messenger who turned into a hound, and was proficient in many small combat skills. It was just that he did not have the superhuman physical fitness to use those small combat skills before. In the dark, Blom immediately used Control Wild Wolf on Toldo's horse bull beast, and looked at the horse bull beast with his eyes. The magic power in the body of a super werewolf is higher than that of an ordinary werewolf, because the effect of Control Wild Wolf is more powerful. The horse bull beast was so frightened that it avoided Toldo and fled alone 200 meters away before it barely stopped. It wanted to run away directly, but it did not want to abandon its master, so it could only stay far away and watch. Toldo cursed at the horse bull beast. "Damn beast." The next moment, Blum drew his bow and arrows at Toldo again, suppressing Toldo from a distance with one arrow after another, not only preventing Toldo from getting close, but also putting Toldo in danger every moment. The Bulgar's low temperature forging technology was seriously insufficient, and there was not much iron ore, so even the beast Knight Toldo did not wear any armor, only a few pieces of leather armor stacked together, and he also wore 2 pieces of chainmail that he had just robbed a few days ago outside his shirt. Therefore, Toldo could only try to avoid Blom's powerful arrows. The power of the arrows was almost close to that of a small crossbow. I'm afraid that, even if he wore plate armor, he would not dare to face Blom's arrows head on. Read the error-free version at 69 Book Bar. 69 Book Bar publishes a novel for the first time. 69 Book Bar reads Sunan, who observed the battle between the Beast Knight and the Super Werewolf Warrior through the Wolf Pack effect, and was very satisfied. In fact, the Super Werewolf in his potion sequence is only equivalent to the level of a formal knight. A formal knight is roughly at the level of a second-class wizard apprentice. Now, the Super Werewolf Warrior Blom, before using Rage, any additional potion skills, and Immortality, has beaten a Beast Knight whose combat power exceeds the average level of a Storm Knight. This is enough to show that the level of his werewolf sequence potion is now very high. The werewolf legion he created is probably in a crushing state at the same level. However, it is not yet known how the werewolf legion will perform when facing wizards they have not met yet, or how they will perform when facing the army of the mysterious energy world. Sunan asked the intelligent computer to check the body panel of Toldo. Beast Knight Toldo strength 4 speed 3.5 constitution 3.7. The strength attribute of the Beast Knight seems to be the highest, and he should not be an ordinary Beast Knight because his basic quality is more than 3. It is also possible that the weak will be eliminated in the harsh natural environment of the Bulgars, and only the strong can survive. Therefore, it is highly suspected that the level of knights among the Bulgars is basically higher than that of the Storm Knights. Through the current bow and crossbow test, it is found that the super werewolf warrior can better play the advantage of physical fitness when using bows and arrows, while the crossbows are generally effective. If the super werewolf warrior fights the beast knight in close combat, it is likely that, because of its inferior physical fitness, it will be suppressed in the early stage. However, at this moment, because of the use of long-range weapons such as bows and arrows, the Beast Knight is suppressed in the early stage. The idea of the super werewolf warrior is indeed correct. At the same time, Sunan saw that on the battlefield, Toldo's feeling to him suddenly changed, as if a drop of ink was mixed into a basin of clear water. The moment Toldo stood up, he beat away the werewolf messengers that attacked him from behind with his bare hands. If it weren't for the werewolf messenger's super fast self-healing, the heads of the 2 werewolf messengers would have been blown up in an instant. Toldo stood up and bowed his head and said, "Lord of the beasts, I offer you all my humanity. May your wildness sweep away the shackles in my heart like a strong wind. Monster, I, Toldo, challenge you." He raised his head, and his cheekbones became higher, his ears became protruding ears, and his body features were somewhat like those of a beast. Sunan ordered Blom in the wolf pack effect. Carry out the second test, using a combination attack of potions and bows and arrows. Blom looked at the Bulgar Toldo, and said in a glib tone, that's terrible. It feels like you are as strong as a monster. I shot so many arrows, and you were just scratched. Unfortunately, I have orders on me, and I must kill you to report to my master. No need to challenge. Because, it will be over soon. Don't resist, don't make things difficult for me. I will end your life quickly, and it won't hurt. Wolf 2 behind him was holding a few bottles of potions, walked to Blom's side, and handed the potions to Blom. Chapter 46. Cold Wind. Seeing the huge wolf, Wolf 2, standing on all fours beside Blom in his beastly transformation, Toldo's pupils suddenly shrank. He had not expected that there was a behemoth like Blom wearing human plate armor, and there was also a huge wolf that was only slightly smaller than Blom. Is this the mount of the humanoid monster? What exactly is Peter territory? Why did they encounter these monsters just at the edge of Peter territory? Toldo is not a fool, otherwise he would not have become a beast knight and a herdsman leader. Hunting nomads require brains. He had not expected to encounter such terrible monsters in the Storm Kingdom, where the Bulgars were rampant. These monster wolves were even more terrifying than the wolves on the grassland. They were more like believers of the Lord of Beasts than them. They were simply beasts among beasts. After he opened the beast prayer, could he really escape? Escape? Toldo clenched his fists. No, he was a Bulgar warrior. He would rather die in battle than run away like a coward. He would not bring shame to the god of beasts. Blom looked at Toldo and said, "Don't worry. Whether it's my master's pet or other werewolf messengers, they won't fight you. Today, your opponent is only me. But I hope you don't move, so that I can finish my job as soon as possible. Thank you." The next moment, Toldo rushed towards him. Blom was surprised to find that the other party seemed to move much faster after using the beast prayer. But it seemed that the beast prayer had other effects. Blom retreated and kept drawing his bow and shooting at Toldo. But at that time, Toldo ignored the arrow that hit his waist and rushed towards Blom without slowing down at all. At the same time, he was still charging, picking up the axe that fell on the mud ground because of his previous dodge, and then he was going to chop at Blom. Clang, the axe collided with the arrow in the air, rubbing and sparking. Then, the iron arrow knocked a hole on the axe blade, but at the same time, the arrow was also split into 2. But the next moment, Toldo was stunned for a moment because he noticed that the speed of the arrow shot by Blom had slowed down a bit. But soon, he understood why the arrow had slowed down. Because this time, a glass bottle was tied to the arrow, and his axe chopped the glass bottle. Suddenly, as the glass bottle exploded, the purple-grey potion boiled in the air and turned into mist, then wrapped around his body and drilled into the pores on the surface of his skin. Soon, he was horrified to find that he had only chopped a glass bottle, and then after a few breaths of air, his left leg became stiff and unable to move. Toldo jumped on one leg and yelled at Blom, "What did you do to me?" Blom took advantage of his inconvenience to distance himself from him again and shot another arrow at him. This time, Toldo subconsciously chopped off the arrow that Blom deliberately slowed down. Then the purple potion turned into tiny sleepy bugs and drilled into Toldo's body. Toldo immediately fell into a drowsy state. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Blom shot an arrow at his chest, piercing his chest and back. But even with such damage, Toldo still tried to attack the enemy with an axe, but was just staggering. At the same time, Sunan also analyzed the specific content of the beast prayer. Yes, the beast prayer seems to allow the Bulgar Knight to ignore any pain in his body. This prayer does not increase any physical fitness, but because there is no pain, the combat effectiveness can be exerted for a long time. But if the human body cannot feel pain, he will die easily. This prayer is completely different from the Storm Knight's prayers that increase physical energy consumption in exchange for a certain skill enhancement of the body. It is a double-edged sword. If this is the case, it can be seen that the god of beasts is more cruel than the god of storms. On the battlefield, Blom shot 3 arrows at Toldo in a row, piercing his chest and back again. These are all fatal injuries. After learning the specific content of the beast prayer from Sunan, Blom said to Toldo, "Your beast prayer is really terrible. You are like a monster. Before you die, you try to exchange 1-for-1 with the enemy." Toldo suddenly laughed, and a mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth. Even though he was not in any pain now, the injuries on his body were still too severe. Terrible? The truly terrifying, truly monster-like person is you guys. I don't understand why you attacked us. You look completely different from those weak Storm Kingdom people. The werewolf veteran Blom shot an arrow at his heart to ensure that Toldo had no chance of turning the tables, then raised a finger and said, "Because you attacked the caravan in Maple Leaf Town. Just because of that, you violated the laws set by my master, Lord Sunan Peter. His laws, at least in Peter territory, must prevail over the words of your god of beasts and our god of storms. That's why you died. And don't worry, not only you, but also the clan tribe near you will pay the price for breaking the law." Toldo's eyes widened. So deep in the southern part of the Storm Kingdom, there was actually such a lord hidden. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book 1 bar publishes a novel for the first time. 69 book bar reading for a long time. The Bulgars have been wantonly sweeping across the Storm Kingdom and have long looked down on the lords and soldiers of the Storm Kingdom. But now, a huge fear appeared in his heart. No, he must at least continue to fight. He must protect his tribe. He must. The next moment, his head was chopped off. But the one who did it was not Blom, nor any werewolf. It was the Beast Knight Squire who had been hiding behind him. The Beast Knight Squire wiped his axe, then looked down at Toldo's head, who still retained a shocked expression, and couldn't help sneering. "What Beast Knight? The god-favored one of the Lord of Beasts? I don't think it's anything. I thought that this Toldo could at least bring some trouble to Maple Leaf Town, but who knew that he was defeated by a werewolf army before entering Peter's territory? Hey, werewolf over there, you don't seem surprised at all." At the same time, Sunan, who was 100 miles away, smiled. "That's it. Recently, he has caught many cultists who tried to sneak into his territory." Sunan also observed the Bulgars' plundering route and found that they actually passed through northern Thrace and went deep into the Storm Kingdom, as if being led to their own territory by some invisible hand. Sunan guessed that it was probably the work of the energy world. Unexpectedly, he only let his werewolf group test it a little bit, and these things were forced out. "Blom, remember to protect the body of the Beast Knight. His heart is useful to me. Then kill the cultist. His body seems to be different from the previous cultists. He is not an ordinary person. I want to study and confirm it myself. Maybe it will be useful to me. The calculation progress of the Death Knight potion is still 94%. That's because although I got the runes of the energy world last time, there is still too little information, so the calculation progress is not too fast. Of course, because of the accumulation during this period of time, this calculation progress is much faster than the initial werewolf potion series. Sunan has always wanted to get in touch with the energy world and reverse crack out more power. No, these cultists came to the door automatically. On the battlefield, Blom glanced at Toldo, as if he had some sympathy, but he still looked up at the cultist who attacked him. So, I really hate you crazy people the most. However, each serves his own master. I'm not smart, so I just need to know to kill you. The Bulgar cultist suddenly laughed. You humans have such a narrow mind. Whether you are Bulgars or Storm Kingdom people, you are all the same. You can't see the world of equality and freedom, the world full of happiness, where pain is happiness. His eyes were suddenly covered with frost little by little. Although he was not completely blind, he was already showing such a trend. In the end, I have to do it myself. In the name of the blind nun, human beings, be indifferent, turn a blind eye, watch coldly, do not sympathize, and regard others as enemies. Let the ruthless wind echo in this sinful world, and always care about yourself. Sunan, who was 100 miles away, immediately understood that it was the subordinate of the blind nun's cousin. Get out of the way, Blom. Jump to the left. That is a kind of magic-like power. It should be the magic-like power brought to him by the blood of the energy creature. Chapter 47. 1-star Bloodline Warlock. Blom hadn't reacted yet. He was about to dodge and talk to Sunan, when suddenly, an invisible blade like the wind cut through his armor, neck, and head. The head of the werewolf veteran Blom flew into the air. The wolves were furious and howled. Blom's eyes widened. He saw his back, because at this moment his head was separated from his body, drew a line in the air, and fell to the grass. He was beheaded the first moment the cultist used his spell-like ability. At this time, the Bulgar cultist looked at the werewolf messengers and the super werewolf messenger wolf 2 around him. He raised the Bulgar wooden-handled battle axe with countless tiny wind blades in his hand, ready to attack Wolf 2 in the same way. Let's start by killing all of you, the magic servants of the Wizard Lord. Speaking of which, I have to thank that Wizard Lord. If it weren't for him, the blind nun wouldn't have given me such a powerful blood power, allowing me to become a 1-star blood warlock. Tonight, I will break through the territory of this Wizard Lord. Long live the supreme cult. He raised the Bulgar battle axe above his head, and was about to swing it at Wolf 2, when suddenly the pupils of his half-blind eyes suddenly shrank, and he turned his head to look to the side. At this moment, the super werewolf warrior, who had obviously been beheaded by him, and should have been completely dead, was still standing straight, even bending over, picking up his head from the ground, and reinstalling it on his neck. The bloodline on Blom's neck healed rapidly, as if he had never been injured. The Bulgar cultists all stepped back in disbelief. Sunan manipulated Blom's body and said, "So that's how it is. The spells you use come from the power of your bloodline, which means you can only use a few fixed spells. Besides, you don't even understand the principles of these spells. I can compare you to a kind of turret. You are loaded with shells by some mysterious force, so you can choose who to shoot the shells at. Perhaps every day, you can be reloaded with a certain specific shell by the mysterious force, or the time interval may be longer. From the perspective of mental power, the 1-star bloodline warlock you mentioned should be equivalent to a 3rd-class wizard apprentice. The price is that every time you use this ability, you will be closer to blindness." Because it was the first time he saw this type of attack, Blom still didn't react despite my reminder. Your axe should be able to control some kind of wind. The Bulgar cultist swallowed his saliva and turned to look at the super werewolf warrior Blom, his pupils suddenly shrinking. "So, even if you cut off the heads of these werewolves, it is not enough to kill them? Is this still a life form in the material plane?" The Bulgar cultist said solemnly, Why haven't you died yet? Wait, you don't seem to be the werewolf just now." Sunan did not answer. If it was an ordinary werewolf just now, then Blom would have died. Because the immortality of ordinary werewolves cannot do it, they can still live after their heads are chopped off. But the super werewolf has 4 levels of immortality. Even if the head is chopped off, as long as it is installed back within about 10 minutes, it can be quickly restored. Sunan has observed the attack of this vulgar cultist and found that when he swung the axe, he would launch some kind of invisible slash towards the front. Through the intelligent brain detection, this should be some kind of wind. The opponent's bloodline spell ability is to give him control of this wind. Moreover, this should not be an ordinary wind. First of all, the wind blade formed by this wind has a strong cutting ability. Even plate armor can be cut instantly. Secondly, a layer of frost will appear wherever this wind passes. This should be a kind of wind in that energy world, with special properties that the wind in the material plane does not have. Sunan said, but in this case, you are essentially just a turret. You don't even know the power you are using. You are just using tools. It's not you who is outstanding, but the blood in your body. The vulgar cultist was angry. Who cares about the principle? I just want to be able to use it. Knowing the principle is useless to me. If I can kill you once, I can kill you a second time. The wind of indifference. He swung the battle axe in his hand again and chopped at Blom's body. But this time, Sunan predicted his action in advance. The moment he raised his hand, he jumped away from the spot, so the cultist's attack missed. Only a piece of grass was cut open. The vulgar cultist was a little stunned because he didn't expect Blom to be able to dodge the wind sickle. He obviously couldn't dodge it before. Sunan said to him, how can knowing the principle be useless? If you can crack the principle, you can think of a way to make your eyesight not be sealed when you use Wind of Indifference. Your bloodline ability clearly has obvious shortcomings, but you seem to only care about using it and never thought about removing this shortcoming. Only by knowing the fact and the reason can we explore the secrets of magic. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book bar publishes a novel for the first time. Read at 69 book bar while talking. Sunan was releasing mana fluctuations into the air once every 30 seconds, using this method to test the body of this vulgar cultist. Because Sunan noticed something. The normal mental power of this cultist was only 2.5, which was not too high, but after he chose to release his bloodline, his mental power suddenly increased to 7, equivalent to a senior third-class wizard apprentice. Mental power is the most important basic ability of a wizard. If I can crack the secret and apply it to myself, it will definitely be of great benefit to me. Moreover, the so-called indifferent wind bloodline spell on him is also worth studying. This guy's basic mental power is not high, and the basic panel is not high. The reason why he has such destructive power is that the combat power bonus coefficient brought by the indifferent wind is too high. Sunan suddenly thought, it seems that every time I encounter the existence of this energy world, it will bring me some new benefits. It seems that this energy world is not so annoying. Sunan dodged the attacks of the vulgar cultist several times in a row. The opponent must not be able to hit him, because now he is controlling Blom's body. To be precise, he is cooperating with Blom to control Blom's super werewolf body together. He is responsible for controlling Blom's legs and focusing on avoiding the opponent's attacks, while Blom himself controls his hands. This kind of division of labor mode of manipulation is a special ability that Sunan has, after sublimating the werewolf leader to the super werewolf leader. Blom took time out of his busy schedule to thank Sunan. Thank you, Lord Sunan. If you hadn't remotely controlled my body in time and helped me put my head back, I would have died now. Sunan said, this is a small matter. Blom, now it's your turn to control your legs, and I'll control your hands. Super Werewolf Leader is a magic potion created by the intelligent brain specifically for controlling wolf packs. After the second sublimation, it can do more than just more precise distributed control. For example, it can temporarily transfer its own sacrificial hand to Blom's body through the method of mana connection. For example, the magic power of more than 20 werewolves around is gathered on one werewolf in a short period of time to maximize the combat effectiveness. The wolf pack has always been one. Werewolves never fight alone. The vulgar cultist found that all his attacks were in vain and suddenly became more crazy, holding the battle axe in both hands and waving it continuously in the air. Damn it. I can't hit it. I can't hit it. I can never hit it. Damn it. Why can't I hit it all of a sudden? Chapter 48, The Changed Timeline and the Blind Hand. Sunan's mana, the mana of 20 werewolf messengers, and 1 super werewolf messenger, were all superimposed on Blom. The powerful mana made Blom, the werewolf veteran, roar, and his body grew rapidly, at least 50 centimeters taller. His muscles swelled up piece by piece, like steel. Dark magic wrapped around his body like smoke, layer after layer. The blood warlock cultist widened his half-blind eyes, and took a half step back. There is such a mana. In the world today, there is such a magical power. This kind of magic energy is almost semi-materialized. The semi-materialization of magic power is the sign of a first-class wizard apprentice among those damn wizards. How is it possible? How can a mere earthly wizard in the mortal world get close to this kind of power? Sunan controlled Blom's body and looked at this 1-star blood warlock cultist in surprise. So that's it. Now his mental power and mana, after superposition, are indeed very close to mental power 20. It turns out that a first-class wizard apprentice can make his magic semi-material. Sunan could guess what semi-materialization meant. It was probably invisible to the naked eye of mortals, but visible to those with high spiritual power. The 1-star bloodline warlock cultist roared. You humans, that's enough. Why do you resist? Isn't it better to just let the blind king come completely? Just do nothing, and wait for death, and a better world will come, right? This land should have been ours long ago, and all humans should be the apostles of the blind king. He raised the Bolgar battle axe, which was wrapped in the wind of indifference. In the name of the blind none, humans, indifference. The next moment, his axe was broken. The wind of indifference could not be released. Cold sweat flowed down the forehead of the 1-star bloodline warlock. He looked behind him. The moment he wanted to release the wind of indifference, the super werewolf Blom attacked him and chopped off his battle axe, stopping his attack. But there was a problem. Why didn't you attack him directly? If you attack him, he will die in an instant. What does the other party want to do? What does the wizard behind the werewolf want to do? At this moment, the cultist suddenly felt fear in his heart. Of course, Sunan would not kill him so quickly. After all, the intelligent brain has not finished analyzing him. Please release more pressure on him to stimulate him to squeeze his ability limit, and continue to release mana fluctuations on him, and change the mana fluctuations at a 90-degree angle every minute. It would be better if his strength could rise a little more, so that it would be easier to analyze the source of the warlock's power. Sunan turned to look at him, and raised his left hand. Now, under his mental strength of 15.6, the normal mental strength of the sacrificial hand has reached 3.7. Even an ordinary official storm knight would be slaughtered by his sacrificial hand in front of him. The next moment, the cultist who still wanted to resist, felt his throat being pinched by an invisible hand. He flew up into the air, and his body automatically flew towards Blom, who was controlled by Sunan. In front of him was the wolf claw of the super werewolf Blom. If he just flew over, the wolf claw would pierce his chest and kill him. No, no. The cultist struggled in midair. Power, I need more powerful power. No, I can't die like this. Anything is fine. Anyone can enter my body. Please enter my body in the name of the blind king. I can't stand it. I will die before this inferior civilization trough perishes. No, my god. Please enter my body. I heard it. I accept your contract HMM. Sunan suddenly took over Blom's feet, then jumped back and avoided the opponent's attack. A deep gully appeared on the ground where he was originally standing, and there was frost in the gully. Sunan said, so you don't need weapons to use the wind of indifference. The cultist floated in the air, then fell from the air, looking at Sunan coldly. Sunan Peter, we really underestimated you. As soon as she spoke, Sunan knew that this guy was not a human, but a creature from that nameless energy world. The cultist said, I'm a blind hand. Only such inferior humans need to use tools, to use the wind of indifference. I don't need it. I know you have defeated the blind nun by chance. That is a middle level existence, but that was only because she did not really come to this world, but this time is different. The bodies of these blood sorcerers are specially prepared for us. I will wipe you out in advance. A wizard trapped in the mortal world. Sunan saw that behind the cultist's body, there was a palm in the form of mana. The blind hand said, but you should feel lucky, because if you die now, you won't have to feel the absolute despair in the future. We have already won this timeline. It was the wizards in the realm of the unbelievers and the gods in the heavens who changed the timeline of reality twice. But forget it. You never know what you are facing. Wizards, the mortal enemy of warlocks, welcome your death. The reason why Sunan let him finish his words was because the other party knew some of the truth of this world, and every wizard would want to explore the truth. Moreover, when the blind hand possessed the cultist, it was easier for Sunan to get feedback from the other party. This is good for him. Read the error-free version at 69 book bar. 69 book bar publishes a novel. Read at 69 book bar. I'm afraid that even the creatures in the energy world did not notice that his arrival was like a key that opened Sunan's exploration of the secrets of their energy world. But at the moment, when the blind hand made a move, he grabbed a knight's sword from the grass with his telekinetic hand, and then thrust it into his heart in front of the opponent. Then, Sunan's telekinetic strength skyrocketed. Did you misunderstand something? Sunan raised his left hand. In front of me now, there is no difference between you and that cultist. Sunan stabbed Blom's heart 3 times with his right hand. The telekinetic hand, which had surged to more than 8 in telekinetic strength, directly grabbed the blind hand in front of it. The blind hand found that he flew backwards towards Sunan. Moreover, he could not control his body at all. Sunan raised the knight's sword. Puff! The knight's sword pierced through the heart of the body possessed by the blind hand. The blind hand widened its eyes. How is it possible? The combat power bonus brought by my possession of this body has not changed at all in front of you. But since the gap is so big, why didn't you kill him instantly at the beginning? What is your purpose? The blind hand controlled the cold wind, and a small tornado attacked Blom, but Sunan had already noticed this. As soon as he made a move, he let go of the knight's sword and jumped behind him. The blind hand supported the dying body, turned around, waved his hand, and the cold wind tornado turned and attacked Blom. But Blom used his powerful speed to leave the original place in advance. Sunan controlled his body and stretched out his left hand to him. The invisible hand grabbed the blind hand's throat again and then slammed it to the ground. Once was not enough. Sunan directly controlled his body to slam it to the ground 5 times and then bullied him and chopped his back with a claw. Sunan did not give blind hand time to fight back before he died. He used his telekinetic hand to knock him out. Then he picked up the bow and arrow on his back and shot an arrow into the sky. Our blind hand's soul was knocked out of the cultist's body and more than a dozen chains wrapped in flames appeared in the void again. Earth wizard, I hate you. Just wait, I will be back. The cultist's body fell to the ground with a click. Sunan, who was 100 miles away, was speechless because the blind nun had said such things before, but she was still as stupid as she is now. The intelligent brain gave Sunan feedback. The analysis has been completed. Please recycle the cultist's body. It is expected that the ability to manipulate wind and frost can be added to the Death Knight potion. In this way, the Death Knight will have both wind and frost and death magic. Right square bracket. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 News about the Wizard's Relics. 4 Seasons Garden. Sunan manipulated Blom to distribute the magic back to the other werewolf messengers and was about to order the werewolves to clean up the battlefield, clean up the ruins of the manor, and take the opportunity to plunder Baron Frank's property. Anyway, that guy is still lying in bed and can't move. However, the cultists on the ground did not seem to be dead. He coughed a few times and coughed up blood. His consciousness was blurred, but he still looked in the direction of Blom and tried to speak. I know who you are. You are the Wizard Lord. I didn't expect that. Even if the adults from that world possessed me, they were still no match for you. You are really amazing. Sunan borrowed Blom's body and glanced up and down at the vulgar man. I see. It's the blood in your body that gives you vitality beyond that of ordinary people. Actually, that's not the case. Your spellcasting ability should be at the cost of consuming vitality. Therefore, you consumed very little mental power just now, and even though your mental power is not high, you can cast such powerful spells. The reason is that the main parameter for your spell casting is not mental power. That is a secondary parameter. The main parameter should be vitality. The cultist coughed up blood and said, "But I'm still going to die. But I have something to tell you, Wizard Lord." Cough cough cough. The adult from that world, possess me just now, and let me see something. Or the truth. I at least saw part of that world for a moment. Lord Wizard, you must be very interested in the scene of that world. Ahem. I want to make a deal with you. As long as you answer a question for me, I will describe that world to you and answer any of your questions. How about it? Sunan was very interested in this. He has always been curious about what the energy world that wants to invade the material plane at this moment looks like. Why is this world a mortal enemy of wizards? As long as you understand it, you can gain power and find a way to target them more. For wizards, information is probably power. Sunan said, "Okay, ask. But as soon as possible, otherwise I'm afraid you can't hold on, and you will die before I know what I want to know." The cultist lay on the ground weakly. He was like a toy doll played with by the existence of another world, and now it has been broken. The existence of another world patted his butt and left, leaving him here. Ahem. In the past, I was just an ordinary shepherd on the Bulgarian steppe. My wife died early, but I have 2 lovely sons. My 2 10-year-old children and I depend on each other for survival. We herd and hunt, and even find some areas that can barely be used for farming to grow some crops. Sometimes I envy the farmers in your Storm Kingdom. They have large tracts of farmland, and they can easily harvest, as long as they sow the seeds. Originally, I had a happy and beautiful life, but one day everything changed. The cultist lying on the ground had bloodshot eyes. They could have saved my 2 sons. They were right beside them. That day, our tribe's sheep flock encountered a wolf disaster. My 2 sons took the sheepdogs and went up to drive away the wolves. But for some reason, the wolves did not retreat, contrary to their usual behavior. Instead, they pounced on my 2 sons who were in the front. There were many herdsmen around, but none of them looked over there. They were only concerned with protecting their children and their own sheep. I was right beside them. I could have saved them if only 1 or 2 people came out to help me. But at that time, no one stepped forward, and I didn't dare to go up alone. I really couldn't do anything by myself. Nothing at all. It was useless for me to go up. I could only watch the Wolf King bite my 2 sons to death. That day made me realize that everyone in this world is selfish and indifferent. So when that adult came to me and showed me that equal world, I believed it without hesitation. I know that I choose to believe it, not because I really think that equal world is real, but I really want to believe that that equal world is real, and I believe in myself. Sunan raised his eyebrows. According to my understanding of that world, you were possessed before, and the blind hand entered the main material plane, so your soul should have half a foot into that world. How about it? You have seen that world with your own eyes. Are you sure it is real? The cultist lying on the ground was silent. He felt his life force was fading away quickly, just like a clay pot with a hole in the bottom. Even if there is a lot of water in the pot, it will eventually drain out quickly. The cultist whispered, "I saw a complete scam. Everyone is suffering, and there is not a single creature in that world that is not screaming and wailing. It is indeed equal, because all creatures are suffering equally, and all creatures are equally desperate." I said, "I just believe that there must be a better place in this world, so I believed their lies. I deserve this. Wizard Lord, I will not beg for your mercy. I have also killed a lot of people. I have entirely brought this upon myself. I ask you, if you meet 2 boys in danger, will you save them? Speak. Why don't you speak and answer me?" Bloom answered impatiently, "What's the point of answering this kind of question? You still want my master to answer such a low-level question of yours? My answer is, save them if you can, and don't save them if you can't. Anyway, I couldn't bear to watch 2 little ghosts die in front of me, even though I have the ability to do so. And you are a coward. You don't even go up to save your children yourself, and you still want others to step forward? Are you crazy?" Sunan also whispered, "For me, it's just a matter of convenience. But if it seriously affects me, then forget it." He added, "Even from the most selfish point of view, People who like to help their companions are the easiest to gather collective strength and ensure the survival of the group. A completely selfish group cannot thrive in this world and will be destroyed by other groups in the early stages. Read the error-free version at 69 Book Bar. 69 Book Bar publishes a novel for the first time. Liu Jiu Book Bar reading this world is not as easy to survive as you imagined. Sunan paused, then said, from your story, perhaps if you were the first to rush out to save your child, other people would be led by you. But you did nothing, and didn't even ask others to save your child. If you had made a different choice at the time, your life and ending would be completely different. In my opinion, the most indifferent person seems to be yourself. The cultist on the ground suddenly laughed hoarsely. Ha 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 ha. So, I was wrong. I was really wrong. I lost completely. Wizard Lord, I don't know much. I'm just a blood warlock on the outermost periphery. What I can tell you is that this world has been invaded by the warlock group, but the sacred authority of the gods of celestial order is still spreading in the air of the various kingdoms of this world. But soon, as those nobles and kings died and fell one by one, even the gods will abandon this world, and the wizards, for special reasons, may never return to this world again. What I can tell you is that, as I said, cognition is the power of wizards. So the church has been suppressing the public's cognition, brainwashing them so that they no longer have knowledge. I know that those people, the half-bloods of those warlock groups, have another power to suppress magic, confusing cognition. I don't quite understand the principle. I only heard them say that when people regard morality as nothing, regard common sense as a restriction, and take cheating and robbery for granted, magic will be destroyed to the greatest extent. And one last point. Cough cough cough. I want to tell you before I die, the invasion of your territory, the blind Nan wants to invade your territory, not just because you offended her. From the beginning, she had to invade. Because near your territory, there is a relic left by a first-ring botanical school wizard, Oak Wizard, more than 2000 years ago, 4 seasons gardened. It's just hidden, and we are still searching for the relic. But it must be nearby. We want to steal this part of the magic and turn it into our own power. Finally, be careful, I have said everything I should say. People like me will probably betray whichever side I'm on. Because I always believe that there is a better world. Hehe. The cultist, who had exhausted all his vitality, fell in the grass in the dark night, and was completely dead. Sunan looked at him and sighed, but soon he became happy again. It seemed that he was one step closer to finding the wizard. This was indeed useful information for him. Chapter 50 Obtain 2 new spells. At the same time that Blom attacked a Bulgar herd, Sunan had ordered his old butler Warwick to attack the second Bulgar herd on the other side of Frank's territory. That herd also attacked the caravan leading to Maple Leaf Town. The wolves found a lot of treasures that they had robbed from various places and the places where the two herds were destroyed. A rough calculation showed that they were worth at least 1,500 gold coins. The bandits really got rich through this robbery and became a mobile bag of gold coins. Unfortunately, they all exploded by themselves. Unfortunately, because the Bulgars did not value books, only a small number of books were collected. Warwick also contacted Sunan and said that he had found a strange statue made of obsidian in the territory of another herd. This statue can also absorb the magical power of the sleepy potion near it. Sunan immediately used the wolf pack effect to contact them and saw the statue that the wolf pack was facing at the moment. The statue was placed in the farmland by the Bulgars. It had 4 heads, an eagle head, a tiger head, a lion head, and a leopard head. Sunan recognized it immediately. It was the statue of the Lord of Beasts that the Bulgars believed in. The history of the Bulgars' belief in the Lord of Beasts is not long. It is actually a matter of the last 200 or 300 years. Because when the Bulgars believed in the Lord of Beasts, it also represented that they were integrated into the international environment of the many kingdoms of the gods of heavenly order in the mortal world. Their political system was also partially feudalized. 300 years ago, the Bulgars were just a group of thorough nomads from afar who believed in pantheism and animism. They cut off a large piece of territory from the north of the Eastern Empire through war and settled here for a long time. The history of the Bulgars is actually very glorious. They were almost completely feudalized and became a regional power in the central region. But later, the Basil dynasty of the Eastern Empire defeated the Bulgar kingdom with several emperors in a row. Through continuous wars, they destroyed the feudal regime and aristocratic forces that they had just established. They directly uprooted them and beat the Bulgars back to primitive society. This led to the special situation of the current Bulgars, who are semi-feudal and semi-nomadic. It's a pity that the Eastern Empire, which lasted for 2000 years, finally collapsed in front of endless enemies, and the Bulgars became a sword on the head of the Storm Kingdom, which inherited the core of the Eastern Empire. Feng Shui turns. Sunan asked the old butler Warwick to throw a bottle of magic potion at the obsidian statue again. In the wolf pack effect, Sunan saw that hundreds of sleepy heads were forced to be sucked into the obsidian statue of the Lord of Beasts. There is a problem with the obsidian statue. I don't know if it's a problem with the material, or if the statue of the Lord of Beasts has the special ability to absorb nearby magic. Brain, check it out. Okay. After inspection, the main material of the statue is a single material, all obsidian. Speculation. The obsidian in this world has the effect of absorbing magic. If a large amount of obsidian is made into a stone statue, it is very likely to absorb all the magic in the nearby area. But this does not mean that magic is eliminated. The magic will be concentrated in one area to the greatest extent, and it may strengthen a certain magic. The magic gathered together will form a magic gravity hole pressing on the material plane, causing the surrounding magic to be involuntarily attracted. This is why the obsidian statue is produced on a large scale and will actively absorb the surrounding magic. The current statue has absorbed a lot of magical power. It is recommended to transform the statue with a sacrifice stone potion. Sunan also had this idea. He ordered the wolves to pull the statue back, and he would find the craftsman in the territory to modify it again and turn it into a new sacrifice stone golem. Warwick said to Sunan, "Young master, in addition, I found a parchment scroll in the Bulgar camp. This may have been dug out from the collection room when the Bulgars robbed the noble collection room. Look, there is also the emblem of Baron Frank's family. You love collecting ancient books. I have seen this parchment scroll for some time. Take a look. Is it useful to you?" Through the wolf pack effect, Sunan saw this parchment scroll through Warwick's eyes. Sunan was a little surprised at the first glance. I didn't expect that Frank had such a good thing at home. But I guess he himself doesn't know the existence of this thing. The Bulgars are like a pro for cultivating the land, turning out a lot of things hidden in the land. There was also such a situation in the previous life. A large number of nobles liked to use precious metals as burial objects, which led to social deflation. Warlords and powerful people had to throw corpses and dig graves to fill military funds. Sunan said to the old housekeeper, "Mr. Warwick, this parchment scroll records that this is what an ancestor of the Frank family secretly copied down when he was a mortal assistant and slave to a first-class wizard apprentice while he was doing experiments. Read the error-free version at 69 Book Bar. 69 Book Bar publishes a novel first. 69 Book Bar read. It's a pity that this person has no wizard talent, but he wants to leave something for his family's descendants. Maybe there will be wizards among his descendants." This scroll records the experimental records of 2 apprentice level spells. Although the information is incomplete, it is enough for me. These 2 apprentice level spells are Summoning Secondary Fireflies and Mortal Retreat Barrier. Although the records are incomplete, with Sunan's current knowledge, he can still roughly estimate the spell effects of these 2 spells. Summoning Secondary Fireflies is a kind of fire magic. Fortunately, no one in the Frank family knows this kind of spell, otherwise it might cause some obstacles to his werewolf army. The Mortal Retreat Barrier is a kind of spiritual suggestion that can be imposed on mortals who are close to it, so that people with a spiritual power lower than 2 cannot approach a certain place. In general, they are all very useful. Although the information is incomplete, it is entirely possible to let the intelligent brain big data calculate and then convert it into a potion formula. Tonight has a lot of harvest. Moreover, Sunan has the idea of taking over the Frank territory. By the way, now the entire Frank territory has been destroyed, and Baron Frank is even more finished. With the current chaotic feudal law of the Storm Kingdom, even if he swallows up this territory, no one will say anything to him. He doesn't want to put the battlefield on his own territory, so that the people who die will be his own people. It might be good to have a frank territory as a barrier. However, Sunan is not going to spend too much thought on this matter. If this thing can be accomplished, it will be accomplished, and if it can't be accomplished, it will be forgotten. So he still summoned back all the werewolf troops, and asked them to move all the looted property back to their castle. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.